You are listening to DC On Screen.
Okie dokie, welcome in to DC On Screen. I'm David C. Robertson. This, of course, Jason Goss.
Hello.
Oh boy. Well, last news episode, we were going to come back.
They released all the news?
No, it might feel like it.
Yeah.
So the last news episode, I said that we were going to try to come back because I finished Kite Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? We should talk about Kite Man.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to that. And then all this news in
fact,
the world.
I forgot entirely that was the plan until the moment you just said that right then.
Yeah.
Which is fine because I had finished it already. It was okay.
Yeah,
but
like, I mean, I want to, throw in my thoughts and stuff and have an episode about Kite Man. No one ever says, hey, you got to talk about Kite Man. No one ever says that. I just wanted to. But you know what? All this news started, we got enough news that I was like, oh yeah, we should probably talk about that. We can just do a little bit of news and do a little Kite Man episode. And then all the news came out and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, some of it's real bummer news too.
Oh, well, I do know some of that.
Yeah, I guess we need to go and get that out of the way. Not that it's like a thing that I don't want to be disrespectful and be like, well, we're just going to get this out of the way. Fuck this guy. I'm sad about it. Gene Hackman and his wife and one of their dogs, for God's sake, found dead in their Santa Fe home this week.
Yeah.
Betsy Arakawa, 64. Gene Hackman himself was 95. Dog, they didn't say how old. They still have to cut off the tail and count the rings.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But very strange.
No one has had time to look up the pep work on the dog yet.
Yeah. Very strange. It was a German Shepherd. But
dogs only have 3 stages.
Yeah.
Puppy, normal, and old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe that, but
yeah. I mean, I say the same thing about humans.
Yeah, got it.
It's like, it's your baby, and then you're normal, and then you're old.
Yeah. I mean, I can look at a human and be like, you're 47, and just take a guess. And but with a dog, I'm not like, you're 7 years and 4 months, aren't you? No, bitch could be 3, 4, 5, 10.
But yeah, sorry. Because we are who we are, we can't get through anything sad without making a joke or something. But great Gene Hackman, and Oscar winner. It's a weird set of events. They looks like some, what was it, gardening staff or something, like came and saw that the door was ajar and saw him laying in the floor through the windows and called the police, and the police came, and they don't think it's carbon monoxide poisoning at this point. They don't think it's a gas leak. It doesn't look like any foul play. And then they came out and said that they checked his pacemaker, and the last event, quote unquote, in the pacemaker was on the 17th. So they've been dead for a while.
Ooh.
Or he has it anyway. Like, he was in the mudroom, she was in the bathroom, and there were pill bottles and a live dog next to her. There was another live dog on the property. I don't know.
It was just an odd scene.
But her hands and feet were mummified.
What?
Yeah, that's what they said. Is like her hands and feet had started the mummification process.
Good God.
And her face was swollen. So they thought she had been dead for, quote, some time, which would make sense if it was the 17th. Yeah, it's just crazy, dude. Like, they don't know. They feel like it's suspicious enough to warrant a full investigation. So,
yeah, he borderline died by poltergeist right now. Like, that's just a weird fucking scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucker.
It's a bizarre thing. He's been retired for something like 17, 18 years, something like that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Like he's been like chilling at home writing novels and shit.
Oh.
Like he just
I didn't know what he was doing. That's
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of want to go and look and see if I can find one. I'll read a Gene Hackman novel.
Sure. Oh, yeah. That has a ring to it, actually. A Gene Hackman novel does have a doesn't it sound nice? Yeah.
It does.
In a different era. He could have really had a good byline.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. So we got a little note from Eli Hernandez about Gene Hackman. Says, R.I.P. Gene Hackman. DC fans will always remember him as Lex Luthor, but my favorite performance of his will always be of him as the sheriff, Little Bill Daggett in Unforgiven. Dude, Unforgiven's such a good movie, and he was so good in it. But he's good in everything. He's just got that quality to him. Like, one of those dudes who you look at him and you think, like, he probably should be a character actor. But nah, he was a leading man, dude. Like,
yeah.
He was just too damn good.
Like, he physically reminds me of just several old dudes I know.
Mm-hmm. But even when he was young, kind of.
Well, then I was young too, and he at that time reminded me of just several old dudes I knew.
Yeah, right.
So that dynamic never quite changed.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at him in, like, I don't know, Superman. You're like, he was like 30 there. Yeah. But he also still kind of seemed like he was like 75. I don't know. He had a quality to him. Tim Allenfire over on Threads, Tim from Squadcast, has a question to us, for us. He says, with the loss of Gene and reflecting on his portrayal of Lex Luthor, was his comedic take fine as a one-time thing to fit the target general audience, or did it add an important aspect to the Luthor mythos that should remain today?
I do think I like it more as just his thing.
Just as his thing?
I think so. Hey, we could probably revisit it at some point for funsies. And I think, certain elements of that whimsical version maybe showed up in John Cryer's performance. But
yeah, Cryer was definitely inspired.
Yeah, and that must have been very much intentional for him, I think. But
well, I mean, he was his nephew in Superman 4.
Right. Yeah, I think it probably fit that exact type of movie the best so far.
Yeah. Lex Luthor, greatest criminal mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say this, Tim, and thank you for the question, man. I personally think there is a lot of room for comedy in the character of Lex Luthor. I think Hackman really did play with the used car salesman huckster element. Like, they hadn't really hit on like the, suave businessman character in the comics yet. That didn't come around until, I guess, post-Crisis, right? I think that was John Byrne, maybe, Man of Steel series. But
kind of hardly remember him from the early versions.
He was just like mad scientist. Yeah, he was just But something I think
Wonderful
evident,
golden, or copper locks, I guess.
Yeah, it was like totally like the reason he started being bald in the comics is because they accidentally like put the wrong word bubble on Lex Luthor's bald henchman. That was it.
Yeah. But somebody later retconned that into a fire. Well done. But yeah, it was just one of those mistakes.
Yeah, it was like a chemical flyer that Superboy blew the dust or something and then made him lose his hair, some shit like that. But I think there's something very evident in Hackman's portrayal. And his portrayal, he specifically has like the comedy of frailty. Like, his comedy is about the fragility of man. And so much of what makes great comedy are human foibles.
Yeah.
But also tragedy, is like heaped onto these human foibles. So like, I feel like Hackman's Luthor is pathetic. He's a failure even by man and society standards. He's like haunted by the memory of this abusive father who told him to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And he's forced to hide from the world in the sewers, and he's, now plagued by a god from another world who is like the apex of humanity. He's,
as you're describing this, I'm realizing there's just a 60% Chihuahua aspect of that character.
But his comedy all stems from this inferiority complex. And exactly. I think it's something that has carried through to all the other versions of Lex Luthor. The angle of the humor changes a bit, but it's still that same inferiority complex in John Shea's performance in Lois and Clark. And, Rosenbaum in Smallville had more of a wry sense of humor, and he was sarcastic and biting, and he was dealing specifically with his abusive father at that time. But also like,
he was witty. He was
witty.
It was shooting from the hip,
But it was the same because he was broken and he had an inferiority complex, and he fucking knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
This man, he was a mushroom, dude. He was kept in the dark and fed shit all day. His best friend lied to him. Like, and the fact that like for the first 4 or 5 years like of that performance, we were like as an audience chuckling at Luthor, like at Lex, getting just this close to figuring out that it was Clark, and then like something would happen. He's like, all right, Clark. And as the show goes on, like it's just more and more, you can tell he's hurt. He knows something is awry. He is not being told the truth.
Yeah. And he bartered trust and was given humiliation. Like it's a painful thing.
And the fact that even his dad found out and didn't fucking tell him. Like that is, man, like Rosenbaum's version like really dips more into the tragedy of it, but it's still like funny at first. And then we're like, oh man,
that did not work out.
But Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor was hilarious and tragic, but again, hit those same notes. Abusive father,
I think it has to have that aspect, though. Like, a lot of writers are just going to lean straight into, to make him want to be that big, you have to have made him always flexing against feeling small. So there has to be a shitty Lex dad somewhere, you know?
Yeah, and even Clancy Brown did that shit in the animated series. His comedic beats were very rooted in this self-important big shot, or he felt like he had to be.
Yeah.
But he's still no match for Superman.
Well, and Supergirl was a shitty Lex mom, but still. But yeah, one of the Luthors has to be a prick somewhere to make a Lex or a Lena.
And, there are elements of that. Of course, Superman has to continually best Lex. And yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I'll get you next time, Superman. Some kind of shit like that in the comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there is something of the Hackman beat that came through. And it may have just been the script. I don't know. It may have just been, like I said, a staple of the character. And they can hit the same notes, but with, an electric guitar instead of an acoustic. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But that's kind of a cool question, Tim. Thank you for asking. Again. But yeah, Hackman will definitely be missed. Sucks. And Michelle Trachtenberg, 39.
Also a loss.
Liver transplant, might not have taken. Her cause of death was ruled undetermined. Her family said no to the autopsy. As for DC, she played Bar Girl in Superman Shazam Return of Black Adam and the DC Showcase original short Jonah Hex. And she wasn't in a lot of DC, but she was in DC, and I felt like that was enough of a reason to mention her because she was fantastic in The Adventures of Pete and Pete and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Eurotrip, and she did voices for Robot Chicken, and I mean she was working. She was in Gossip Girl for a ton of episodes. Like, was even in the spinoff. Like, yeah, she was great, and it sucks that she's gone too.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's get into the upcoming stuff, news, I guess.
We're done with the going away section, and we're into the coming in section.
I guess so. Gunn. Mm-hmm. Give me a second. Gunn posted this anniversary thing on Threads. It was saying 1 year ago today, sorry, I don't know if I can say this. Longyearbyen, Svalbard. Faster than a speeding bullet toward July 11th, 2025. Hashtag Superman. It is just a picture of Superman's feet. He is standing in snow. Mm-hmm. Got a little snow on his toes there. Got the cape whipping down over the boot a little bit. Kind of a neat picture. It is crazy to think that it's been a year
since that wrapped. Yeah.
Or no, well, since they were shooting.
Since they were shooting that scene.
Svalbard.
I'm surprised. I'm still surprised you're trying to say that, but I'm very proud of you for trying.
It is Svalbard. Svalbard.
I feel like it has to look that way to me, and yet it's going to be pronounced Wendy's. And I don't know how to do anything with that.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
It's not one I have a natural feel for.
Most of this news is coming from this little press release convention, whatever they had. They just gathered a bunch of press people, and they talked about the slate, and they went over like, where are we now? Now, they've done it every year. So most of that comes from that, or most of what we're talking about today comes from that. And there seemed to be, between all the different outlets, some contradictions. Felt a lot like trying to wrap your head around the gospel, but I tried my best. Mm-hmm. I kind of grabbed, from like 3 different sources and condensed it down best I could. And I know there were more people there, but, some people were just out there. Like, some of those people that went were just like, James Gunn says this is on the back burner. I'm like, no, the fuck he did not. Like, these 3 people said he didn't say that at all. Like, so anyway.
For lack of a better term, wild.
And it's always like the usual suspects too. It's like the people is going to be. Who were like, this is horseshit. It's dying. It's going to be a flop.
Yeah.
The test screening said they were terrible.
This has been a weird little social gathering or media gathering you described, though. I'm going to start describing it as like the 2025 ERGOT conference. Mm-hmm.
And look, for anyone curious, I went by the Variety article, comicbook.com. And then separately, because he's on his own now, Brandon Davis, who used to be with comicbook.com. But dude fucking loves this shit. He was always fair to Snyder. He's been fair to Gunn the whole time. I trust that dude for the most part, even when I disagree with him. I'm like, you have no ill will. There's no ill intent or malice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, those are the 3 I went with. And, you know, if you don't like that, you can fuck off. I don't know. I mean, if you're like, those aren't the ones. I want to talk about discussing film. Ah, Christ.
I mean, to be fair, you've compared 3 sources and pointed out that shit got weird. So,
well, shit got a little weird, but they were all saying basically the same thing. Those 3,
yeah,
where they all had the same basic interpretation, even if the verbiage was off a little bit.
Yeah.
But then there were some who were just like out and out saying like, no, this is just saying shit that like James Gunn would not even say. Like, this is not something that they would even, he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, well, the test screenings were absolute shit. Everyone hated it. And also
dogs are tacos.
I'm afraid of the Authority or I'm afraid of the boys because it's too much like the Authority. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. So
lovely.
He did kind of say that, but not like that.
Even by then, it'll be over. We'll be looking for something like that.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll talk about that.
It seems like you did your best to compare some weird notes. So, like,
yeah, I tried.
Yeah,
I tried.
It's a considered series of things we're about to try here.
But also, here's the point. Here's the good point. All right, that I'm proud of myself for making. Mm-hmm. Looking at all the other sources who did not take the time to compare notes. Mm-hmm. I am going to say, you know, this is going to be more comprehensive than a lot of people who get a lot more views than we do. So
yeah.
The quote unquote professionals. Yeah. Take that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was waiting to see if you were going to go with Blow Me or something like that. Suck it on this one though.
Clean my shitty asshole with your tongue, posers.
They brought motherfucking receipts.
Did you find that kernel of corn?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
It just sucks that we made it this far and you just got us canceled right before we got to see all that good work of yours.
Look. Let's be clear. I've said this before. You cannot be canceled if you've never been greenlit.
Right. Yes. And that is important.
No one has ever said, go.
Yeah.
Do. Here's a bankroll. Yeah. No one.
Yeah.
We just do this ourselves. We live and die by our own decision.
Yeah.
All right. So,
yeah, I was hit with despair when you said it that way for some reason.
I know.
But yeah, dig in. Okay. Sorry.
I was hit by despair.
Just a brief wave.
Mm-hmm. All right. Superman is in deep post-production. Mm-hmm. We know this. They're still making little tweaks to it. James Gunn celebrated Lex Luthor's 85th anniversary with a new movie image. It's a black and white behind-the-scenes picture of Nicholas Hoult as Lex, and he looks dope. I don't know what to say about it other than he looks dope, as hell. Yeah. Really cool black and white image by VFX supervisor Stefani Ceretti. I don't know. I'll put that in the show notes. Will there be Superman reboots? We've done real screenings, definitely learning stuff all the time, definitely editing and making little changes. You know, we might shoot a couple things, little tiny things. All my additional photography is so hard, but it's like, I used to be kind of against it because, you know, you don't have to shoot again, or you don't want to have to shoot again. It's a pain in the ass. I really like being able to say, you know what? I wish I had a shot of that fist hitting that. And so I tend to go back and pick that kind of stuff up, but it wouldn't be anything major. But those kinds of things, yeah, I'll cover you a couple more things like that. Now, naysayers are turning these comments into statements, saying that he's walking back previous promises of not doing additional photography, pejoratively referring to them as reshoots. Mm-hmm. But these kind of comments, they actually echo what Gunn said in December of last year. He says, we won't have not a few days of additional shooting. We're doing a day and a half of pickup shots. This was on Threads. No scenes, no reshoots, just a handful of individual shots to enhance the film. That's in line with what he just said.
Yeah. It's just a shorter version, literally.
Mm-hmm.
No different.
At this event, he and Safran said that Krypto is going to be getting a series of seasonal shorts that will begin releasing after Superman debuts in July. He says, we've got these cool little Krypto shorts that are so fun, man. I've been watching all of them. He's a terrible, terrible dog. It's for families, and it's just really fun and goofy. It's pretty cool. And then Safran said, "It's definitely the Krypto you fall in love with in Superman. He's a terrible dog."
I like it.
There will be 4 of these. They'll start in the fall. It's also unclear if Corn Sweat Superman or Clark Kent will appear in the shorts or if they're live action. But it is the same Krypto from the Superman movie, and it is canon. So they also said the first Superman trailer is being cut because they're referring to what they've already put out as the teaser. So we'll be getting that sometime.
That should be pretty soon. We're like 4 or 5. I mean, we're 4 months out. We must be nearing that time.
Yeah, God, 4 months. That doesn't seem like any time now.
Mm-mm.
Holy crap.
Isn't that weird?
That's so exciting.
Yep.
Lorenzo Valdez over on Patreon has a Superman question or questions. He says, he has a comment and a question. Sorry. The comment, a funny thought occurred to me. I, of course, don't actually think this will happen, nor should it happen. Always a great way to start off.
Mm-hmm.
But with Alan Tudyk being cast in a mystery role in Gunn's Superman, and with Tudyk already having voiced the Man of Steel in Justice League War, the wild thought did cross my mind of there being a Jeff East Superman the movie situation, with Tudyk dubbing over David Cornsweat's lines like Chris Reeve did with Jeff East. I don't know what to do with that. I'm glad that's not going to happen, Lorenzo.
That would be a bit too much, but still.
Maybe just one scene.
Yeah.
But he has to sound like Clayface on Harley Quinn. It's just like, oh, popping away, something.
I mean, yeah.
And the question,
it does leave me there. Like, where are you with that? Where are you with that right now? 4 months out. Do you want to do any multiverse Superman mentions right now or not? If you were getting to pick,
yes,
you do. You do want them?
Yeah. But if I, it would be really cool.
I'm imagining a Flashish kind of scene,
Yeah, no, I would think it would be really cool if, like I've said in the previous episode, I think it would be cool if the masked character Ultraman, whatever he or Ulysses, whatever. Mm-hmm. Certain people are just very fed up with that, me saying Ultraman. Mm-hmm. If that character turns out to be a multiverse, some other alternate universe version of Superman, I will be really probably very happy. I would love it if one of the things that Lex has created is like some sort of window or portal, a la Brave New Metropolis in Superman the Animated Series. I think it'd be really cool to, I mean, aside from the political issues, I think it would be cool to see Dean Cain show back up. Like, I like his version of Superman. I like all of them. I want to see Brandon Routh. I'd love to see Henry Cavill. I'm a Superman fan, dude. Like, I like every version. So,
see, I understand that part, but at the same time, I'm a bit. I think right now I want it to start fresh. I could be asked again in a few months.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if it started fresh too. Like, but same time, I just love this shit and I want to see all of it.
Yeah, but I mean, look, if we went full throttle and the dark guy the entire time was Cavill and it was a handoff of the whole universe, of course I'd wet myself in the theater. Like, of course I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lorenzo's question with Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner and Isabella Merced's Hawk Girl on the same team in Gunn Superman. What do you think the chances are that we will at some point, maybe on Lanterns, maybe somewhere elsewhere, see Guy play matchmaker and introduce Hawk Girl and Dev M's Aaron Pierre's John Stewart to one another, leading to a DCAU-esque Hawk Girl / John Stewart romance? I mean, I could see it happening.
I don't know when, and I did like them on that. That was one of my favorite relationships out of that series.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm a big fan of it. I love that in the future in that universe, Warhawk is their kid.
That is nice. It hadn't even occurred to me that those two could be around and romantically linked, but now that you mention it, I dig it. Yeah,
they're there. They're in universe. And I always did like that version from Justice League Unlimited where, Carter Hall shows up and he's just a cock. Like, he's just like a thumb on, holding his thumb on her abusive cock who's like, no, you're supposed to be for me. And she's like, fuck you, bro. I want to be with John. Mm-hmm. Like, shit, man. I dig that. So, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that concept, and I don't necessarily think it has to be Guy Gardner though being matchmaker. It could just be like, by the end of Superman, I assume, if not then, at some point, Mr. Terrific and Guy and Hawkgirl are all going to be like, fuck Maxwell Lord, and they're going to get away from his bullshit organization. Maybe not though. Maybe, Gunn, Maxwell Lord was in the Justice League International stuff. Looks like Gunn is a fan of International. Mm-hmm. So he might want to play with that a little bit more. And I'd be fine with that because I love International as well.
I think it comes down to just, he digs a lot of stuff from his childhood. Who blames him?
Yeah, absolutely. But also he said, one of the best things about doing this is picking and choosing from, different versions and stuff. So, who knows what he'll actually do, but, I'm down for the ride, whatever. Mm-hmm. Jayden Revri is confirmed to appear in good God, the Sandman.
It's gonna be one hell of a film.
I know. The Sandman season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is the guy who was in Dead Boy Detectives. He played Charles Rowland. So we have at least one dead boy.
Oh, cool.
In Sandman season 2. Where are you sitting on that? Have you decided you're going to watch that yet? Or?
I don't know. It will depend on the time in the trailer. I'll probably watch it early on just because I'm going to want to see what's going on with it and put it away.
Okay. Well,
that's where I'm leaning today.
I don't know. I go back and forth daily. I'm struggling because in a lot of ways, I don't want to support gaming anymore.
Yeah, but when it comes to bigger productions, I'm very much this is a whole team thing. So,
right, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah, so there's that conundrum, and then there's just going to be how much am I actually interested in it when I really do see a trailer that and I'm paying attention and want to know. There are factors. Right now, I'm leaning toward I'll probably just digest it and see what it is, move on.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation with my sister, and who was a huge Neil Gaiman fan, more than I am, or ever could be. And she was talking about the final episode. It was going to be a season, but now the final episode of Good Omens. And she was like, look, here's the thing. I was a huge Neil Gaiman fan. He let me down. He broke my heart, but I still love Tenet. I still love Sheen, and most importantly, I still love Terry Pratchett. And he wrote the bulk of Good Omens to begin with, so I kind of need to watch this finish out and hope that it does well. Yeah, and I kind of get that.
I feel that too.
I think it's time for a break. What do you think?
Yeah, I can dig it.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Moving on to Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Peacemaker is deep in post-production, probably looking at an August premiere. Gunn says Peacemaker is all done. I am deep in editing. With that, at the same time, I'm doing Superman. It's been really fun. I think John Cena surprised a lot of people in the first season with what he was able to do performance-wise, and the guy grew exponentially in season 2. And he's really incredible, as is the whole cast. He says the second season of Peacemaker marks a significant shift in focus, moving away from the broader superhero elements to explore more intimate character dynamics. The second season is much more about the characters and the interconnectivity between the characters and their personal lives. It's much more about Chris Smith than it is about Peacemaker. And he also described Rick Flag Sr. as an antagonist, which makes sense because he's going to want revenge for the death of his boy, damn it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one does. It's funny. I like the idea of, I don't know. I like the idea of those two fighting, but it's going to complicate things in a weird way. I'm still just so confused about the canon part, but he's also, where that's going to be in the canon is going to bother me, I think, long term, but only in it's in ways that I'll be able to live with. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
But it is fun to take it out of the superhero. I feel like what I was also told right then was, don't worry about Superman showing up. Just watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Or which Superman's going to show up. Just watch the show.
Right, yeah. Over to Supergirl. They say that Supergirl's halfway through production, which is exciting. I had no idea it was halfway through. Jesus Christ.
That is on.
I'm so excited about Supergirl. I'm not even a big fan of who is playing her, but I fucking love that graphic novel. I love that Tom King is involved. Mm-hmm. I'm just excited. They're talking about Jason Momoa as Lobo, and we know that he's got to be in Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that he's more than a cameo. So, they said Jason was literally the first person. This is what Gunn says. Jason was literally the first text I got after this was announced. And his text was, let me see if I can remember. It was very eloquent. I think it was, all caps, Lobo baby, with 10 billion exclamation points. And so essentially I was like, I think that's a pretty good idea. So it was always part of the plan. I had no problems whatsoever with him having played Aquaman before. Mm-hmm. They did say, when people were like, oh, what's he going to look like? They said he looks like Lobo. Mm-hmm. He looks like Lobo anyway.
Yeah, this is not going to be a heavy makeup session.
But he looks more like Lobo. His skin is a different color.
Yeah, I think, honestly, he could probably like apply that makeup in a few minutes and be on his way.
Yeah.
The rest of it's just not going to be that intensive. Like,
mm-hmm. So they asked how long it'll be before we get a look at Lobo. And Gunn said, it's going to be a while, to be frank, because, it's all in outer space. With Superman, we were sort of forced because we knew we were going to shoot outside for weeks. So we throw something out there. But like with Jason, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to be cocky because you never know.
Yeah. What I'm hearing, we're going to mostly shoot indoors. So I'll tell you when I'm ready.
Yeah. We're going to mostly shoot indoors. So let me see what I have written down here. Oh, fuck your couch.
It's get fucked. Yeah.
Over to Lanterns. Lanterns is in production.
Mm-hmm.
We've known that for a little while.
Right.
And let's see. They've posted a picture of Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart and Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan walking down a long and winding road in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. The only thing that looks vaguely Lantern-esque about it is if you zoom in to Kyle Chandler's hand, you can see the Green Lantern ring on him.
Oh, I didn't even catch it.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
That is nice.
It does. It's funny. It does look very True Detectives. True Detective.
It's like that first shot of Deadpool Wolverine that we all saw.
It does. But I've seen people. It's like every time it's posted somewhere else on another outlet, there's always like this one guy who looks like a dude bro douchebag mm-hmm. who says, "Oh, I get it. They're ripping off True Detective." Oh. Mm. And I'm like, motherfucker. In 2023, James Gunn said, we're doing Lanterns, which is very inspired by True Detective. Mm-hmm. They have said this shit over and over and over and over. We know that. You're not getting anybody. You're not like, oh, well, I get it.
No, dude, you got to own somebody with the comments. It's fine.
I'm so glad that you get it. He's only said it fucking a million times.
Yeah.
I hate people so much, man. So it says Kyle Chandler. Kyle Chandler is Hal Jordan. Aaron Pierre is John.
What?
Oh, Jesus. Aaron Pierre is Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
And it says #Lanterns. New HBO original series from DC Studios is now in production. It's been in production. Mm-hmm. They just decided to finally tell us. And I don't know if you follow along with the different leads and stuff. You already knew, but Gunn says excited that Lanterns is now in production. DC Studios' new show for HBO and Max from creators Chris Mundy, Damon Lindelof, Tom King, starring Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, is something really special. I'm excited about it. They just have been talking about how it's very gritty, and they said it's so cool because it's connected to Superman, because we've got Guy Gardner in that, and then we've got these lanterns over here, and it's just such a different tone from what Superman is. It's exactly what I want to bring to the DCU. Is being able to have these very different films and television series that are still a part of an overall connected world, but have completely different feels to them. Now, mm-hmm. I'm going to say this part.
I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. This is not a Lanterns spoiler, but it's going to feel like one.
This is a weird disclaimer, but okay.
This guy, I don't beat games on Threads, made a prediction that hit me as so true. I cursed. I read this thing and I went, fuck. I think he's absolutely right.
Okay.
Actually, it wasn't even him. It was his close friend. Okay. It was his close friend. That's what he says in the tweet. He says, one of my close friends saw the recent first look at Lanterns picture and said, quote, I can't wait to find out in the final episode that Hal has been parallaxed the whole time. John is going to have to fight him at the end of the season when it's revealed Parallax has been influencing him the whole season and made him commit the murders while blanking his memories of committing the deed. Then he dies. And now, end quote, and then he says, I Don't Beat Game says, and now I'm not excited for Lanterns because he's probably right.
See, that sucks. Are you not excited because you never wanted that story or because that would have been cool, but you ruined it for yourself? Because you opened your Christmas present too early.
It did occur to me that something like that might happen.
It's possible, but we're positing the inclusion of Parallax here, right? Or has it been stated for sure that we're definitely going to have a third giant Green Lantern entity that we don't know about?
No, I haven't heard that Parallax is happening.
So
for sure,
we're borrowing trouble there a little.
Yeah. I hope not.
It's a fine theory. Don't get me wrong.
I hope they make us think that's going to happen for like an episode, and then it doesn't.
Yeah,
that's what I hope. I hope it's a fake out. I hope there's a red herring in there.
Yeah, we're just about sure that's going to happen, and then they pass a lab somewhere, and there's a little glowing jar in the background with Parallax written above it.
Right, something stupid.
They reference yeah, that was last year.
What would be neat, honestly, is if we come into it and Hal is trying to regain trust because he did become Parallax at some point.
Well, or just a post-Coast City world in general.
Yeah, that'd be kind of neat.
Well,
but I don't know.
Any version of addressing Coast City would be cool in general.
I mean, I'm just happy to see Hal Jordan standing next to Jon Stewart walking down a street, dude.
It's a hell of a thing to be okay to just be happy about. Yeah,
I'm not. I mean, that's spoiler. It's going to be kind of sucky, but you know what? Like, they're saying that like, they're looking at it like going like, oh yeah, this is probably going to last more than 8 episodes. Like we have 8 episodes ordered. It'll probably go on for more seasons. So, I mean, Safran said it'll likely continue. So why get rid of Kyle Chandler? Like, please keep him around. Let's have Hal Jordan around for a little while. Jesus Christ.
Might as well.
That's my hope. You can do so much shit with lanterns, man. You can have Guy Gardner hanging around Earth, you know? Kyle Chandler runs off, or Hal Jordan, whatever you want to call him, flies off, does some shit back in outer space. You know, Jon Stewart's over here, pounding the cake with Hawk Girl. Mm-hmm. You know, you can do all sorts of shit. Oh, hey, look, there's Kyle Rayner. Why does Earth need so many damn lanterns? Well, a lot of shit goes on in Earth.
Shit's crazy over there, man.
Like, I want to.
How do you use lanterns? Would you like to do it alone? No.
I want a season, set on Mogo.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. You know what I want, Jason.
Which, the squirrel?
No, I want that fucking F-sharp belt.
F was F-sharp, okay.
I want Rotlop Fan.
Yeah. I want the note character. See, that feels like something I'd be like romantically like, I want the character that's just music. But like, no, of course. You've doomed yourself to wanting a show that would be pretty much impossible to make.
Yeah. Oh, I'm like, I want that big lumpy blind guy.
Yeah. Where the communications, a bunch of notes that we'll have to show to people who are like 70% tone deaf.
Uh-huh. How you doing? Mm-hmm. That's my toxic fan entitlement.
That's my plan.
Oh,
it'll be followed by a show that's just it's Mogo, but it's just that would be fun. It's basically a David Attenborough's Planet Earth with no voiceover. No one's explaining it to you. It's just that you're watching the planet. Very exciting if you know the premise.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, completely useless. Nothing ever happened.
Let's go over to Clayface. Safran confirmed that British director James Watkins of Speak No Evil is in talks to direct. So, a lot of people are still coming out saying like, oh, it's confirmed. Like he's doing it. No, he's in talks. He was confirmed he was in talks.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. Words.
They're texting. It's okay.
They refer to it as a body horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Gunn said it was, they hope it works as a pure horror film or a horror movie for somebody who doesn't care about DC at all. Gunn also said it is pure fucking horror, quote unquote.
Okay.
He says the take on Clayface is, quote, so real and true and psychological and body horror and gross.
Okay.
They plan to start shooting this summer. and have also started the casting process.
So just going to be a horror about somebody who can change forms.
Mm-hmm. Well,
with
I don't know. I don't know what all it's going to include.
With what's going to feel like some T-2000 body horror kind of stuff. That's what I'm imagining right now.
Maybe. So Gunn has said that actors who voice a role in the animated projects will also play them in live action, but he's talking about main actors. We've already talked about this, how he said that Alan Tudyk is not going to be voicing or not going to be playing Clayface in the movie. Mm-hmm. He played Clayface in Creature Commandos. It wasn't a primary role for Tudyk in Creature Commandos.
Yeah. He just means the people in the title card or the credits, right?
Right.
I'm guessing.
And there has been speculation, by the way, that Harry Potter star Daniel Radcliffe is going to be playing Clayface. And Gunn on Threads said, as we confirmed the other day, we're closing a deal with James to direct because we don't have a director yet. We haven't even started the casting process. Daniel was great, but we certainly haven't talked to or considered him. So this one is 100% false. So this is one of those situations where I found two different sources who said, we've started the casting process, and then he says, we have not started the casting process. I'm assuming directly from Gunn is the accurate one on Threads.
You would have to think so, since he could just, edit that if it's wrong.
Right.
Factually wrong. And presumably he would see when the several hundred people on Threads tell him about it.
Mm-hmm. So Gunn also said one of the things Peter and I talked about when we first got the script is if we were producing movies 5 years ago, when we were doing Belko Experiment and all of that stuff, and somebody had brought us this horror script called Clayface about this guy, we would have died to have gotten to produce this movie because it was just a really excellent body horror script. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's in the DCU is just a plus. So
that's cool.
They're excited about it.
Does it kind of have a, Joker feel to it to you?
No.
Well, I mean, think about it, though. The script just would have worked without the character IP.
Maybe. I mean, if that's what you mean by that,
yeah,
then yes,
yeah.
Possibly.
That's all we did. But yes, they seem to, like he just said, want to make the movie for the sake of it, and it just happens to be in canon.
And they said it wasn't part of the plan. They didn't, and we know that it wasn't because they never even talked about it. But then when Mike came in with that script, they were like, "Oh shit, well we got to make this."
Yeah, yeah.
We got a question from Matt Carroll over on the MCU cast, Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast.
Hi, Matt.
Matt says, do you guys prefer Clayface to be connected to the DCU or an Elseworlds tale? Also, I feel like they should cast Alan Tudyk no matter the vibe. Really show his range at playing the same character. I would rather it be part of the DCU than an Elseworlds tale because then at a certain point, you're just making shit Elseworlds to make it an Elseworlds. Like, if you're really going for what Gunn has said he's been wanting to do, which is have lots of different tones and really showcase the characters and be like, but it can all be a part of the same universe, which is what I want and have wanted forever. Mm-hmm. Like, that was, like, as much as I enjoyed Zach's stuff at times, like, I also, like, disagreed with Zach vehemently over the notion that, he couldn't do Grant Gustin because the show didn't fit the tone. I'm like, the fucking tone, like, and I've said this before, when I'm at my house, it is a different tone than when I'm at your house, Jason.
Yeah.
Like the lighting is different. The attitudes are a little different. When I'm at my parents' house, it's definitely a different tone. Mm-hmm. It's, dark and people are fighting and so different tones can exist in reality. And I feel like different tones should exist within a cinematic universe.
And that is nice to see. I think you would have been right to do that. I also have there's a stakes situation going on. Like, what's the scope we're talking about? Because Clayface, you don't have to make that an Elseworld. You can do whatever you want with a character that only plays with that corner and be fine.
Right.
And I guess it lands in the same spot. You'd be making an Elseworld just for the sake of it. Yeah.
Now, I also, I don't think it needs to be an Elseworld. It doesn't have to be an Elseworlds. I like the notion that they are excited about certain kinds of films and they are just going to make, what they want to. And look, we're talking about a first chapter that's called Gods and Monsters. Like, Clayface fucking fits that mold.
True.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
So on to the other thing that Matt said. He feels like they should cast Alan Tudyk no matter the vibe. And I disagree wholeheartedly. I love Alan Tudyk, but if this is in DCU, which we know it is, Alan Tudyk played him with like a couple of grunts and a chuckle or something in Creature Commandos. And we have already seen his character, Dr. Phosphorus, pre-phosphorin. I don't know how to say that. And he was drawn just like Alan Tudyk looks. He is Alan Tudyk. So if we're going to Clayface, I don't want to see like an origin story of Clayface where he fucking looks like Alan Tudyk as well.
Yeah. You're seeing it as an opportunity cost here that we would just, and you don't want to double up.
Yeah, you don't want to double up, and that's my issue. Yeah. Like, I don't, otherwise I would be completely fine with Alan Tudyk. I love Alan Tudyk. Yeah. He's a fantastic actor.
It would not be a matter of range or, ability there. He could, I'm certain, hit whatever the hell genre you throw at him.
Oh, he can.
Will again.
And will again. I mean, Resident Alien's coming this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, another season. It's like 4 or 5 seasons so far. Like, it's so good.
It's great.
Anyway.
Don't cheat yourself on that show, guys, if you haven't.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I know it keeps moving around and keeps being saved and shit, but it is fantastic. It keeps being saved for a reason.
Yeah, well, they keep moving around because it's got enough people that keep just finding it that it's actually a commodity.
Yeah, and, either that or it's just like one of those things where everyone involved, every time it gets canceled somewhere, someone else goes like, no, that one needs to keep going.
It's just a darling. They keep passing it around.
Yeah. Everybody's just like, no, we just need it.
Actually, that would be a fun thing. The idea that there is collusion among the companies, but it's just to save little bastards like that. Okay, look, I'll take custody of it for a little while. And then Amazon, you're going to take it for a bit? Okay, all right.
Because I think it was like originally like an NBC thing that was like originally considered. It was originally considered, I think, an NBC, but NBC also owns Sci-Fi, so then it kind of wound up going to Sci-Fi, and then it got canceled there. And I think USA picked it up. I think I think it's all owned by Universal.
Universal.
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, there's a few pyramids, and they all lead to like 3 names.
Right.
It occasionally I go back and look at the pyramid just to remind myself who they are, and then I try to forget it because it feels like I live in the oligarchy I actually do live in. So it's just hard to focus on it for too long, right?
Mm-hmm. Maybe it wasn't NBC. Maybe it was Peacock. I don't know. I can't remember how it all went down.
Somewhere
but it has been kind of passed around. And anyway, over to the Batman Part 2. Mm-hmm. Safran offered a brief update of sorts on the Batman Part 2. James and I, we loved Matt Reeves' vision for the Batman Part 2, and we're looking forward to this film as much as you are. He hasn't yet turned in a full script, but what we have read so far is incredibly encouraging. Then, in reference to Penguin Season 2, we don't know. There are a lot of moving pieces. Probably, most important, Colin himself. That's what Safran said. And then Gunn said, and 800 pounds of makeup.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that update.
They're gonna want more, but man, that feels like it was hard to coordinate the first time.
Well, look, they did. I'll also say this, and we'll lead that into the Batman, the Brave and the Bold. They did say Pattinson will most likely not be the DCU Batman. Gunn says I wouldn't rule anything out. He could show up in something else as far as Batman in the DCU before Batman, the Brave and the Bold. But the actor doesn't exist yet.
True. Who'd you say was the holdout last time we talked about it?
What do you mean?
I thought it was it like Gunn wanted it and Pattinson wanted it or something?
Matt Reeves didn't want it.
Was it Reeves then? Okay.
Matt Reeves didn't want it. And they were like, okay. Like they had a conversation. They were like, hey man, what's up? And he was like, nah. And they're like, okay, cool. We like what you're doing. Yeah. Keep going. But yeah, but they've been saying this all along. We don't think it's going to happen. It's very unlikely that it's going to happen, but it might happen. And,
nice.
But they said Andy Muschietti, they're still talking to him. And they did say, this is the first time we've actually gotten this, is that, they said, Safran said, we're developing the script right now and for Brave and the Bold, and we're going to show Andy when we have it in a place where we think it's ready. Then see if it's a great fit for him. I'm telling you right now, this motherfucker's not directing this movie. I have been saying this ever since the Flash flopped.
No, we're just down to the point where he gets writer first refusal, I guess, on the script, and he'll pass, and it'll be over.
They just keep showing him the script, and he's like, yeah, I like that, and they're like, fuck. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take another pass.
Yeah.
There's no way we can market this thing.
As soon as he doesn't like it, we got to go. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, this is my little Jimmy Rod into my belief that he's not actually going to direct.
I'm also dead certain you're right, but
They did say that like Gunn is working hard on it. Like he's deep dicking the script writing process. They'd say that exactly. Safran said that story is coming together nicely. And then Gunn added that he had been especially focused on the project because, quote, everybody knows I love Batman. So yeah, I'm down, and I'm fine if he shows up somewhere else first. Like he's already shown up in Creature Commandos. Let's just, you know what I say, man. And a lot of people don't agree with me, and a lot of people do. Just go ahead and get Alan Ritchson,
and just let it be.
Just go. Yeah. Just fucking give us Reacher.
Yeah.
Just give us Reacher. Dye his hair black, for Christ's sake, but give us Reacher.
I would want to see him screen tested with actual black hair and a little bit longer than his Reacher situation. Before I really, really felt great myself, I admit.
Dude can act. He's like, this last season from what I've seen of this last season of Reacher, season 3 or 4, whatever it is, writing's kind of shit, but he's giving it his all. Like the dialogue sucks, but he's doing a good job with it.
To be fair, that's been kind of Reachery to some extent, but I have it queued up. I'm like, Reacher's one of those where I'm low key excited. Yeah,
it's like. My wife put it on, and I was like, "God, this."
Does low key mean you're hiding it? I'm not hiding it. It just means I'm mildly excited. That's what I meant to say.
Right. Yeah, my wife put it on, and I was like, just kind of sitting there and like chilling and drawing and shit. And I was like, kind of looked up and was like, "This dialogue is shit."
Yeah.
She was like, "Yeah, it's real bad." I'm like, okay, I was just making sure I was not whatever. Okay,
I'm imagining it.
I'm like, and then I'm kind of like looking up, going like, "This actress is terrible. Like, what is this voice she's trying to do? Oh my god, this is the worst." All right. And then, like, as the episodes are playing, I'm noticing that, like, someone evidently, like, went to her and said, "Baby, you're going to need to tone down that accent." Because, like, she's actually talking like a person now. And then I'm, like, finding myself invested, like, well, fuck, how is he going to get there?
Nice.
So, I mean, I'm just going to have to go back and watch Reacher. But I'm also sitting there getting excited thinking, like, man, this guy wants to play Batman so bad.
Yeah.
And I loved him as Hawk on Titans. I did.
Yeah. I
can't help it.
I don't like to think about that time. It was great, but God, that ending. Oof, man.
I never saw that last season. Are you talking about his ending on the show?
Yeah,
or are you talking about the show? Oh, I did see that.
Yeah. I forget what you've not seen the last season of at this point. The list is intimidating.
You know what? The reason I stopped... This is so stupid. The reason I stopped watching Titans was because we turned on the first episode and they brought up Brother Blood, and I was just like, fuck it. And like my brain just like died because all I could think of was Arrow season 2. And I hated that Brother Blood storyline so much.
I don't blame you. And it was bad. And I pretty much hate every Brother Blood storyline.
Yeah.
But
it just killed me, man.
But I think it's worth finishing the series.
I understand. I don't know. I still need to watch that last season of Doom Patrol too.
Titans was not very kind to anything named Jason, but
no. Anyway, let's go on to Creature Commandos.
God, I feel like we've been half in Creature Commandos this whole time, but yeah.
Yeah, half whole, baby.
Yeah. I don't even think you know what that means, but go ahead.
I do know what that means. What? You put half the dick in to tease, half the dick in to tease.
Oh, okay.
Then you put the whole dick in.
Yeah.
It's a Jay and Silent Bob get old thing.
I see.
It's Jason Mewes thrusting his dick on stage, going half whole.
That makes sense now. Yeah.
and for some reason,
bonus punishment for asking, I get the image of Jason Mewes humping.
Yeah. Now, sadly, the person who in my household who references that the most is my wife because she thinks it's funny. Yeah. It's never a sexual thing as far as like between us. It's always just some weird joke that she's found a way back to that.
Yeah, and her sense of humor is 25% chattish in a way. Like,
I don't even know what that means.
I think she enjoys locker room humor at least as much as you do.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Locker room humor. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, at least as much. I think maybe about 10% more.
Maybe that makes sense. Her high school friends are a couple of dudes, and they're oh my lord.
Yeah, and
they were very that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We are awful. We're awful creatures at that time.
think she showed me like some footage of some like old home footage or something. They were just like giggling about farts and boobs or something. Like it was exactly what you would expect.
Yeah, it's precisely what you thought was coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Creature Commandos. Dean Lorey, the showrunner for both, revealed to the direct, good God, they're already working on it. He says, I mean, it's still early days, but we are actively working on breaking the season and starting to figure that out. So it's definitely moving forward. I mean, it's like they put it on a fast track. They seem to mean it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're in it.
I dig it.
When asked about the teases in the final episode and if some of those new team members might be playing a bigger role or a big role in season 2, he says, I think it'll be at least somewhat accurate. I mean, it's like those are all characters that we think we could have. Sorry, God. I mean, it's like those are all characters that we think would be really fun in the season. And James wrote, all the episodes last season. So those were his instincts, which are pretty good. So yeah, I would say there's that. And I mean, there's no world where I would want to do a season without a beefed up GI robot.
That's true. That's true. I forget about him. That was a hell of a gem at the end there.
Yeah.
They'll have to figure out an actual story to tell going forward this time, though, because we only covered like 48 hours on the original. Like
it was a story.
It was. It's not that. I don't mean there's a dig. I just mean like it was mostly backstory. I feel like half of it was filling us in on what happened before. Yeah. Like we only actually saw present tense and like plus 48 hours or so.
Right. I didn't see any tents.
Or presents.
I didn't even see a wigwam, for God's sake.
Not one single present in one single TV. You lying cunt.
Constantine, too.
Yeah.
Director Francis Lawrence revealed that Constantine 2 has official permission to be developed, which, by the way, the fucking headline that I got this from said the sequel was greenlit. That's not what that means. Mm-mm. So it was not greenlit. It has official permission to be developed, indicating that DC Studios supports the sequel announced before James Gunn and Peter Safran took over the studio. But you know what? Everybody wants Constantine 2 with Keanu. Come on!
They do. Especially him. What does it mean, like, officially developing in this sense? Basically means we are actually willing to write a check for someone to think about this for a second.
Yeah, that's what it means.
It's a small check, that's what it means. But we're willing to write a check for someone to think about it.
Yep. He says, we have finally gotten to the place where we now have the permission to go down that road. Akiva is writing. Keanu and Akiva and I have been collaborating. And I think we have some really, really great ideas that we're super, super excited about. And here's another thing. When you're going back and you're watching Batman and Robin and you're going, everything about this movie sucks. No one should be allowed to be like, oh, fucking George Clooney sucks. Look, clearly George Clooney has won Oscars, Academy Awards since Batman and Robin. You know who else has? The writer, Akiva Goldsman, who wrote A Beautiful Mind, and also Constantine, who has written tons of very passable Star Trek at this point. I won't say brilliant, but he and I have a, fairly chasmic difference on what we think Star Trek should be.
Gotcha.
But I'm not saying he's not a good writer. I'm just saying, as he puts it, body checking canon. You fuck. But, I'm just pointing out, like, just because there was a bad movie in there, like, the man got paid to write a thing, and they said we want a toy commercial, and that's what he fucking wrote, okay? So,
I've never heard of anyone with an IMDb long enough that didn't have some story like that in there.
Yeah.
I have yet to run across that autobiography.
I have seen people worried that Akiva was oh no, he's involved. He was involved. He did Constantine 1, and also he's a good writer. Just calm shit down. God, just gonna hyperbolate all over the place.
I mean, to some extent, it can be seen as using someone's junior high prom picture.
But yeah, Francis Lawrence is the director, is very excited about this. We have finally gotten to the place where we have now permission to go down that road. Akiva writing, Keanu and Akiva and I have been collaborating. I think we have some really, really great ideas that we're super, super excited about. Like Keanu says, he's aching to play this guy again. I mean, they've got the passion.
Yeah. I watched a few, like a minute or two of that little clip. Mostly because I saw it said aching to play. I was, oh, cool. Clicked it. And the only thing that's really, like, the most tangible part of it is the contained excitement on Keanu's face when it gets brought up. What about Keanu? What about he just goes into his little teenage mode thing. It's cute, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to say everything.
He does.
But yeah, he's clearly still got the spirit for it. It's exciting to watch that.
He's filled with the spirit, boys.
Filled with the spirit, and now chewing gum.
Oh,
I actually gave my daughter candy cigarettes the other day.
Oh God, they didn't even know they still made those.
I found some for like $1 and bought them just so I could have the case, just because I thought it was funny. And then at some point, I was either going to expire, and I was desperate for a little snack in a quick emergency trip we had. There you go, buddy. And handed her a couple, and then just a little bit later, handed her one more. Right as I was leaving, I passed her off to the wife. We were going to meet back at the house, kind of thing. Handed a couple of the sticks over. Like, she put one in her mouth, like, oh, thanks, and just threw one in her mouth real quick while she did something with her hands. It looked exactly like you'd hope it would. And the wife just looked, is that a candy cigarette? Yep. And yeah, it is. And the look on your face is totally worth $1.25. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's that's everything I could hope for.
I saw a reel the other
upwards
day
of $3 for that smart.
I saw a reel the other day where this guy was titled "How I Felt as a Kid with Candy Cigarettes," and he's like wearing sunglasses, and it's like slow motion pan, and he's like slowly putting the candy cigarette in his mouth, and then we've got him. He's like laying on the floor. We see him like pouring an AMC root beer in his mouth and crushing the can, and then he's like laying on the floor. And they're doing like this like circular spin, and he's just like surrounded by candy cigarettes and like root beer cans.
That wasn't it for me. Like for me, it was. It seemed more like in the. I guess it had like a late black and white feel to it, where it was like a cigarette case kind of feel to it.
Yeah,
that's what I felt like.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh yeah, dude.
When I was 4,
absolutely, I agree with you. Like, it is funny. The reel was funny, and I get the kind of the notion of just being like, yeah, I'm gonna have me a brew, and it's like a root beer or whatever. But,
yeah, I mean, he's doing like a Raising Arizona's cover kind of situation.
Yeah, but we're stupid and fucked up. Like, we're both like of that generation that was like, or of that specific niche part of our generation.
That's a good point.
Who adored
in my head,
old shit.
The person I was idolizing at the time was prescribed the cigarettes.
Right, like you and I, when we had candy cigarettes, I imagine that we were emulating like any lead protagonist in any given episode of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
like
that kind of thing.
We've got a suit coat on. We come in, we take off our hat. The wife is at the bar mixing us a martini, or maybe she'll like serve some lemonade later, and our neighbors will come over and we'll have some cards.
Yeah.
And, secretly talk about the rocket that's going to the Earth.
Anywhere on the spectrum, too, for me. Like, it could be Mad Men, and it could be people with, like, tailcoats and the cute little cigarette cases, or this could be more of a Death of a Salesman kind of situation.
Right.
Lomac or whatever his name was. But, yeah, like, it could be anywhere in that spectrum. Nowadays,
we're the
it would
spectrum,
definitely be like
right.
the Charlie Day... It's Always Sunny conspiracy meme situation. That would be on my board of things I was emulating, I think.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I need you to respond to what I said.
What? I'm sorry.
I said we're on the spectrum, all right.
Oh dear God, yes. Sorry.
Sorry, I said it, and then I was like,
no. I didn't catch it. I
want recognition.
I'll validate you though.
Validation. On a dynamic duo. Jesus God. Okay, so at this point, we know that it's about Jason and Dick. They say it provides a kind of perfect on-ramp for family audiences into the world of Gotham. Mm-hmm. They are in pre-production right now on Dynamic Duo. If you'll recall, this is like the animated movie about the two Robins, and it's like the weird puppet animation.
I forgot the word puppet was ever involved.
Oh yeah. You remember that reel I sent you of like the puppets? It almost looks like Pixar, but like it's got like a stop motion Nightmare Before Christmas quality to it. It looks neat as hell. Yeah. It's apparently not so far planned as part of the DCU. Apparently they said they might find a way to work it in. And this is one of those that only one outlet even commented on it. I think it was Variety. But they said they might try to find a way to work it in. But as of right now, it's an island unto itself and does not fit with their planning with the DCU.
I mean, okay. I think
I'm okay with
those, right?
I mean, I'm all right with that. I mean, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And as I've said, I enjoy this shit no matter what, whether it's part of a universe or, TM or or whatever.
I also keep thinking when you're calling shots this far in advance, if you've learned anything from the last, several attempts at this, it's calling your shot that far is like also hitching yourself to a lot of wagons.
Yeah. Well, this is why we're seeing so much of them saying so far or at this point, we're not saying it because they're tired of being called liars. Yeah. As people are just like unhinged.
Oh, they think those commas are going to save them. No.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it will when you're paying attention, but
when you're paying attention, but at the end of the day, I don't think the people who are out there screaming about them being liars are really going to be paid attention to. Like, I don't think it's going to, the box office numbers aren't going to reflect like the 47 out of like 1,000 people commenting on a thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to reflect the 47 with their little laughing emoji. Like, okay, buddy. Well, hope that works out for you. Over to Blue Beetle, I'll say. Still in active development, the animated series that continues the Angel Manuel Soto story from the movie. Mm-hmm. And still in active development. It would continue the events from the film.
Still good with it.
Safran said he expects the executive producers to present the project for a possible green light quote unquote pretty soon.
I actually want to go back and watch that when I get to the point.
Yeah, sure. And he said he also springboarded from that into they've greenlit 3 younger skewing animated series, all overseen by EP Sam Register and produced by Warner Brothers Animation. The first one up, My Adventures with Green Lantern. They did release a title card, and I think it looks cool. And it says, My Adventures with Green Lantern will follow high school student Jessica Cruz, who has her life upended when, according to an official logline, a Green Lantern power ring falls from the sky and chooses Cruz to be its champion. Things get even worse when more debris from the Lantern's ancient space war arrives, along with their alien foes. Jake Wyatt is executive producing, and Stephanie Gonzaga is a co-executive producer. And Jake Wyatt came out and said, we're making a new show. Some of you had questions. The show will take place in the same timeline as My Adventures with Superman. Stoked to expand and explore that universe with my buddy, Stephanie Gonzaga, along with sharing an executive producer, familiar title and timeline. Wyatt also revealed on social media that the shows will share some of the design team too. Quote, we are going to bring as much of the Superman design team to Lantern as we can. I'm excited about this. I enjoy My Adventures with Superman. I like Jessica Cruz. I'm excited there's going to be a new Green Lantern animated series. Green Lantern has always been kind of one of those like dark horse characters. Weirdly, for someone to be like such a big shit in the Justice League and like for there to be a whole core of the motherfuckers in the DC universe, like I like the fact that they're bringing
32 of them or some shit.
Yeah, I like the fact they're bringing anybody or any Green Lantern thing. I know you're not a fan of My Adventures with Superman.
I mean, I'm not a fan. It's I'll watch the next season. I'm just very mild on it. It kind of ended, and there were some cool moments, and I don't know, it was all right, but didn't get swept away. I do get why they're doing Cruz, though. I mean, if especially if they're staying in the timeline, it's going to be somebody else that's kind of learning their way, and Cruz is a great character.
Yeah, agreed.
Definitely young enough to be more relatable. So I get the turn on it. It's probably very exciting. I just it hits mildly for me because I kind of just I'm lukewarm on the universe. Yeah, but I'm going to watch it.
Fair enough. They also announced DC Superpowers, which takes place at the Alliance School for Heroes and focuses on new students, Lightning, Flash, Plastic Man, Aquagirl, Green Lantern, and Terra, who, quote, level up their powers under the supervision of Principal Martian Manhunter in the hopes of one day graduating and becoming the next generation of Earth's defenders. Matt Beans is executive producing, and Michael Chang is a supervising producer. And this sounds a lot like the DC Superhero Girls, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
So, I mean, when I see something like DC Superpowers, I'm like, I think of the old toy line, and I'm like, oh man, are they going to do some kind of like, just like Silver Age hijinks? That's what I thought, and I'll admit I'm a little disappointed by the synopsis, but I will say, is Lightning going to be Black Lightning? They just took Black. They finally stopped calling him Black Lightning. Is that what's happening?
That'd be great. Yeah.
Is that what's happening? That'd be kind of neat.
I mean,
it's like, did Jefferson finally get to the front of the bus? Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Yeah. And then it's going to come out. It's not him.
It's not. It's going to be just, yeah.
I mean,
it's just going to be some dude who's a ripoff of Powder.
Yeah. Or it might be one of his daughters or something.
Yeah. Wait. Are they? What are they?
Oh, God.
What were they called?
What were they called? No, I'm having trouble. Maybe one of them was called Lightning.
It wasn't as simple as they were just called Thunder and Lightning, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it was Thunder and Lightning.
It was that simple? It was. Christ. All right, there you go.
But you know what? I hope because we have Flash and Plastic Man and Aqua Girl, which is also weird because I mean, I don't care if they gender bend it, whatever, but it's just a weird because Terra is there too. So it's like, okay, well, that's a Teen Titans character. And Aqua Girl.
Every time you see Terra, you're like, all right, well, cool. I know where this story's going.
I hope not. Just let her be a hero for God's sake.
Just let her be normal for once.
Let's let her just be a hero who's not fucking an old man.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need 15-year-old Terra having sex with, like, 60-year-old Deathstroke again.
It's a weird story every time.
And this can just actually be Jefferson Pierce called Lightning, and then when he retires, he can give it to his daughter. Jesus Christ. Yeah. He doesn't have to be Black Lightning. But it's weird because Flash and Plastic Man and Green Lantern typically aren't younger heroes. They're not teamed up with an Aqua Girl, which is usually, an alternate future version of, Aquaman's daughter or some shit. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm fine with it. I'll check it out, see if it's any good, worth a damn,
Yeah, of course.
Never know what they're going to do. I'm not trying to gatekeep over here. They can have wonky ass timelines. Hell, I was just talking about Smallville with passion. We know what their Justice League look like.
Weirdness, honest, thick.
Starfire. Yeah. Starfire serves as the origin story for the fan favorite title character, perhaps best known as part of the Teen Titans. The show follows her adventures after she uses, quote, an ancient spaceship she discovers on her home planet of Tamaran to escape her planet and explore the stars. Along the way, she'll meet, quote, space biker crush, plant-loving Fern, and the magical Princess Amethyst of Gin World. And together they will, quote, uncover the deepest reaches of the DC Universe, save space dolphins, surf technicolor nebulas, and boldly soar into the unknown.
Your cadence isn't helping the overall sense that was written by someone coming down from something.
Right. Josie Campbell is executive producing, and Brianne Druhard is co-executive producing. That one sounds fun. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a girl show. But, luckily, and much to my father's dismay, I like that shit too.
That's going to be all
right. I can hear the vein in my father's forehead bulging from 100 miles away.
Yeah.
He doesn't know why he's angry.
Every time you turn on another one of these shows, his testosterone drops somehow.
Right.
But
he's like, he just bought the DVD box set of Jim and the Holograms.
Yeah. I can feel it.
Oh. All right, so now time for your blood pressure to go up.
Oh, no, that's not good.
Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I know you don't care that much. It's funny. I always laugh when I put it in the show notes because I know you don't give a shit about it.
No.
Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League will arrive on digital home video on March 18th next month. Well, this month. Now. It's March 1st today.
Yeah.
With 4K UHD and Blu-ray copies arriving at retailers on April 15th. Much like the original movie, the sequel is one that will have both a Japanese and English dub, allowing anime and DC fans to choose what kind of experience they are looking for with the Dark Knight's comeback. Yeah, I'll watch it. I know you won't.
Probably not. I'm always curious. I'm going to end up eventually getting bored and throwing one on to see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's just likely going to be a very short, 5-minute experiment that I'll never tell anybody about.
You're funny.
I'll just sort of turn it on and go, yeah. Okay. And then it'll sit there in my queue reminding me of that experiment for a while.
All right. Well, I understand. There's definitely stuff I have like that I struggle with. For me, even though, I swear to God, even though I enjoy what I've seen of it, or at least one iteration of it, DC Superhero Girls is like that for me. Like, I actually really like the one where Supergirl has like a short haircut and a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that like came before, when she was like in a Supergirl version of a Catholic schoolgirl outfit, and they all kind of look like Bratz dolls, I wasn't big on that.
That was the like first 2 seasons.
Yeah. I didn't like the first version of it, even though I still liked Batgirl in that one. I always liked Babs.
Yeah, that show went through some real changes too, man.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
it got hard to keep up with.
But literally, like, as I've, well, they also did movies and shit too. So, but as like,
at least those you know what you're doing for about an hour and 10.
Yeah. But like, even when I had nothing for it, but at the same time, like I say that, but if I was over at your house and Evelyn had it on, I'm sitting there like ignoring you and Christian, like I'm still watching it, like going, oh. Anyway, I think it's time for another good time for a break. I feel like, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I can get behind it.
Alrighty. Well, we'll be back in just a moment. Please bear with us.
After these short messages.
After these messages, we'll be right back. That's that old ABC shit.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm. I can hear the TV fuzz from here.
Huh?
I can hear the TV fuzz from here.
Yeah. God. What I wouldn't give. I just want to walk up to an old TV and like touch it and feel the static electricity. One more time.
Just on your back of your arm? Yeah.
Just one more time.
Yeah.
God, it's been so long.
We just got to get a CRT somewhere. That's really all it is a CRT. A big one. I'm sure that exists somewhere.
Maybe. Anyway, be right back.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are back. I wonder how many people heard that after these messages. We'll be right back. If in between there you heard the woof woof, or if you heard the cowboy go yeehaw. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there were different versions of that bumper. That's all I'm saying. Well, guess what?
It's the era of like Yahoo.
Oh God, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're at one of my favorite parts of the show. It's time for WBT.
Oh, you took it easy on me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Oh, God. James Gunn was talking about his favorite DC project that hasn't been announced. He says, well, he was reflecting on how he feels about the things they've announced and if he has any regrets.
I say.
But along the way, he did say this. I mean, life is complicated. There's always little things. Like, I wish I did that differently. I wish I asked David to do that take differently. It's just like little things. There's writers that we put on projects that I wish we didn't. But overall, I feel just so lucky. I mean, the fact that Anna Noguera was on Supergirl, came out with this great script. The fact that there's another... Well, my favorite project, nobody even knows about yet. It's been my favorite project for a few months. Nobody even knows it. We're an organization of basically 13 people that's able to produce all of this material and have it go and have it all be high quality. We're going to make mistakes. Some things are going to be better than others. So we're doing everything we can to make everything as good as possible. And I feel remarkably fortunate. Then
good speech. He's trying.
Then Peter Safran says, as hard as we are on ourselves, if 2 years ago, when we all sat in this room together, we said, this will be your output 2 years from now, I think we would have been surprised that we could accomplish that much, particularly with the 5 months of pencils down in our first year, that they were always really problematic for everybody. So I think we feel pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. They have made remarkable progress for what's been under.
Yeah. And, and I've seen some people saying like, oh, well, he wishes he regrets not putting certain writers on certain things. He's blaming the writers. Motherfuckers, just sometimes writers, you think they're going to be good for a thing, and then you put them on there, and then you're like, oh, they weren't the ones. I mean, that's all. It's going to be for anybody. And
none of that necessarily means that's what you saw. People take passes at things, and you can regret the pass.
You can regret the pass. I mean, who among us? Was there any single fucking person? I'm sure someone will say they were, but was there anybody who thought Jeff Johns was going to be as shit as he was working on the movies? Did we really believe Jeff Johns would churn out Wonder Woman 84? I didn't.
After what he'd accomplished on paper, no, it was not the expectation.
So, I'm sorry, whatever. During the press event, Gunn addressed the reduced pace of his current writing schedule compared to his initial year at DC Studios. He says, the first year I wrote, I think, 650 pages, and the next year I filmed 650 pages. I cannot do it again. I really just can't.
He says with a sigh.
He says, I'm not physically capable of doing it. I can't do it again. Of course, that included Superman and Peacemaker and Creature Commandos and overall framework for Gods and Monsters. And they've expanded the team. They've got Drew Goddard now. They've got Jeremy Slater, Christina Hodson, Crystal Henry. I do love that Christina Hodson is still around. She was one of those shining lights in the pantheon of the shitty Hamada years. Yeah. And of course, Tom King. Gunn says, I'm writing something else now that would be the next directing thing. It's connected without saying exactly what it is. When asked directly about a potential Superman sequel, Gunn responded by noting, quote, I'm writing something that's within the DCU, maintaining deliberate ambiguity about the project's identity.
Yeah. So
someone said, it's not Superman 2, and Gunn says, I didn't say that it's not Superman 2. Well, shit, man.
But that's just a shitty set of question and answers, because you can do that with anything and make it sound like it is a thing.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, oh, so it's Superman 2, or it's not Superman 2. I didn't say it's not Superman 2.
It's not Revenge of the Nerds 10. I didn't say that.
Now, per Variety, Safran noted that DC Studios is ultimately aiming to release 2 live-action films and 1 animated film per year, and 2 live-action and 2 animated TV series per year. But the executives also reiterated the overall philosophy guiding their creative choices, namely that no project will get a green light until Gunn and Safran are satisfied with a completed screenplay. Now, that doesn't count for the TV shows. We already know that. He said that. It is hard enough making a good, quote, it is hard enough making a good movie with a good script. It's almost impossible making a movie with a script that you're writing on the run. This is why, for example...
I want to know who hurt him now. I'm at a point where I almost want him to list the movies that he knows went down that way. The projects that he knows went down that way. And
oh, you know what it was? It was, one, him working with Marvel, watching his friends all drop like flies, like fuckers going in and directing movies, Taika going in and directing Thor, and knowing that, like, oh, well, we're going to keep changing it. We're going to shoot everything on a fucking green screen. We're going to change everything in editing. You're not going to have any say over, like, how it's going to go down. Like, I'm telling you, it's specifically with Taika.
It was just that process.
Yeah, because, like, Gunn said that he had artistic control on his Marvel films, but then also, like, just
not everyone got that.
Being a fucking audience member, sitting and watching DC like scramble and reshoot and scramble. Like, he came in just at the tail end of watching what was going on with the Flash and going, Jesus Christ, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
And also, everything James Gunn is saying here is like trying to reassure fans and reporters and everyone involved here that, like, yes, I recognize what the issues are, what the problems are with comic book movies today. We are having the same problems. I'm having the same problems you are with Marvel and how they are handling shit. Like,
well, there's one thing there's a point he hits in specifically, and it's, they reiterated it there. It's the not until I see a script that we like. And that's the part, like, yeah, he's done a great job of setting expectations on that. But it feels like every time he says that, he's talking about a project where, like, they got into it, the script wasn't even ready, and it was just an absolute nightmare, and he went, no, never again.
But he's also head of DC, and he knows that, like, one thing that we've gotten over at DC, and one thing that Marvel is actually doing as well now, is that we're seeing happen over and over, announcing shit and then abandoning that and changing the slate. We've been, DC and Marvel's been doing it since, I don't know what.
The beginning of time.
Inhumans.
Yeah.
But
God, that was supposed to be like 2020.
I know, but like DC's been doing it since like Snyder
beginning of time
popped up. Like but even before that, with
I really think 2021 was supposed to be like Justice League Part 2 originally.
Yeah,
was a crazy time, and some credit where it's or forgiveness where it's due. Like, yeah, I mean, you got certain actors that you had banked on that didn't work out, stuff like that. Yeah, you make adjustments. I'm good with that.
But
they were tweaking well before certain things.
But they did that whole special on WB or CW, I should say, with Kevin Smith hosting, where they announced, they showed fucking, what was it? Design art. They showed character designs, and they showed like storyboards, and like for Flash that was supposed to come out in 2018, and the Cyborg movie, and they announced, they gave a whole slate of things that did not come to fruition.
I want to say Green Lantern was supposed to be in 2019.
Green Lantern Corps was like 2018, yeah.
It was just basically every Justice League member got a film.
Yeah.
And we were very sure about how that was going to go down until pretty much BVS hit. There's a fun narrative to be told on that one day.
God. I think we've told it for 10 years.
I know. I mean, one day when it's more fun to go back and look at it.
Yeah, I will be dead about 30 years before that is of any interest.
No, I mean, there are things that I think are new and interesting about it. It just, now that we've had time to digest it, even then, I view it very differently than I did at the time. Now that I see the patterns that weren't clear at the time, certain things changed for me. Like, I almost would like to revisit the timeline and go, okay, I remember feeling this, but now I see this, and just see what changed.
Yeah, I can see that. You should just start re-listening to our show.
Yeah. That sounds terrible. I'm going to abandon the idea.
All right, speaking of goals, though, oh no, you know what? I just read that.
Nice.
DCU movies and TV shows standing on their own. Let's do that topic. As we've talked about before, Gunn says, each one of these stories, each one of these projects that we're doing needs to be able to stand alone. Somebody needs to be able to go see Superman, without having to have seen Creature Commandos. Somebody's got to watch Lanterns without necessarily having to have had to watch Superman. We have great connectivity between these things. There is a lot of connectivity between Superman and Peacemaker, including a lot of actors. Few actors. We want to continue to have these stories connected, but not completely dependent on each other. And while DCU movie and TV shows will work on their own, Gunn says Gunn assured fans that, quote, we are telling a larger story that'll last, a little bit of time. And he also emphasized the importance of the writers to the DCU, indicating his mindset when it comes to the franchise. As we said, he says, a couple of years ago, we're completely a writer-driven organization, screenplay-driven company. We're always going to put quality over quantity. And the first thing that drives us is making sure that we have a great script. This is a brand that's endured 80-plus years and contains some of the greatest heroes and villains that the world has ever known, maybe even the greatest. Now,
in my humble opinion, a couple of the greatest, yeah.
Sure. Our friend and listener, Effie Oppelders, has some feedback, a question in regards to this. She says, while I wholeheartedly agree with Gunn's emphasis on finalizing screenplays before greenlighting anything, could the resulting reordering due to quote-unquote unplanned projects, quote-unquote cutting the line, and releasing before planned projects end up detracting from the cohesion and overall DCU narrative? Not to suggest that there's no place for side stories and characters, but might we end up in another situation with a bunch of separate, nearly Elseworld-like corners of the universe watering down the broader plan, reinforcing the old brand image, because we want to hit 2 films and 2 shows a year? If they're good stories and ready for production, that's sweet, but I sometimes worry that, quote, you have to be able to watch any one of them without homework, unquote, may feel like we're not progressing all that much, even compared to hypothetically getting fewer core films over the same time span.
I mean, I think she had a core point there. Tempo is what matters. They've got the chance to decide that the Marvel tempo isn't the one they're going to use, and I don't know exactly how we're going to hit with that either. Everyone's used to movies coming out in a certain period of time.
Yeah, which Marvel is scaling
should
back
be out
too.
Inside 3 years, Yeah, they were hitting real hard, real fast up front half, and they're hoping second half to do it a little bit differently.
Well, I mean, all these companies putting out so much shit is killing the VFX artists. It's making the movies look worse.
I agree.
Marvel specifically, and recently DC, specifically in the Hamada years, I feel like. But, that starting with Justice League 2017. were doing it too, where it was just like you're writing by the seat of your pants, you're writing in the editing bay, everything's on a green screen, you're changing shit left and right. After it's been produced, you're going back for numerous reshoots. It's clear that we are watching some sort of like
high stakes improv is what you're basically describing.
Basically, I was gonna say like strained Peaches baby doo-doo, but whatever. I mean, it's like what are we doing? It's like it's shit. This is not a constructed house. This is sheetrock held on by fucking a hot glue situation. Like this is terrible, and we're seeing the seams. I enjoyed Thor: Love and Thunder. It wasn't a masterpiece. It wasn't anything that I was necessarily proud to have said I sat and watched for a couple hours. It was fun, but I never felt like I was watching anything that required existence. Like, you watch something and you just go, oh, that needed to exist.
Yeah.
Iron Man 1.
That's actually how I talk about songs. That's the phrase I use sometimes.
Yeah. And so
if something just doesn't get to me, that's the thing. I think I just don't feel like it had to be here.
Yeah.
And then someone says, but I love Jack John Johnson, or whatever his name is, but that's my fault. I still think it's going to be tempo though. Like you really have to have, all right, like for it to tell a longer story, we've got to be able to remember what's going on. So you're dealing with human memory. I understand that you're going to have it at a certain pace to be able to keep up with, or for everyone to be able to keep up with the story. But they don't have to do it every 6 months or whatever it was early on. Like 2 shows, a movie and a half, and God, probably some comic books at that time.
I think the most important thing is for them to make good movies. And I think that's where James is too. They need to be movies that you watch and you go, well, that needed to be made.
I agree.
And if they can get that done, then they need to start worrying about
the clock.
Maybe putting out, I mean, I don't even think they need to worry about the clock so far. Like they can have a goal, but I don't need them to meet it. If they're going to be putting out a subpar thing just to meet it, I don't want it.
Well, I agree, but there are limits to that. Like I forget which one of these series. It was one of Tom King's that it started coming out on a certain time frame, but it just got changed. And they basically just said, we're not comfortable with it yet. We need a little more time. Mm-hmm. And great. That's fantastic. But, we've joked about at this point how we're starting to forget what the hell the Batman movie was up to and wonder if we're ever going to see it again. Like, it does have to be within a certain reasonable time frame for it to still be poignant.
Yeah, maybe. But these things are, available on Max. You can go back and watch them, and I think people will. People are, you see the people who love the Batman and love Penguin, they're rewatching it all the time anyway. Like, I think the general audience might go back and watch the first Batman movie, or they might just go and be like, let's see what's happening. Well, I'll just go watch it. It looks cool. To
that end, there's a real human problem though with you have to catch one person in their timeline that actually cares about the second one of those things.
Yeah. But I mean, look how long it was between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. People poured into the theater. Like the amount of time between those just made people more desperate for it.
I agree, but look what we got.
I didn't say it was good.
I mean,
but a lot of people thought it was and still think it was.
I do think though that might be a weird experiment. Yes, but it does have other things in its favor that might prove to be unique. Like Nolan being a thing. The Dark Knight itself was phenomenal, especially for its time. It reset some bars, man. We all knew exactly what that movie had done. Mm-hmm. And just things were less accessible. Like that was the only thing to do was go see. I mean, comparatively, the only thing you were thinking about doing was going to see on, what the hell you've been up to for 4 years.
Yeah.
I think the landscape might be a little bit different. Not so much that it might definitely nudge it, but possibly.
And for me, I'm the one that goes back, much like you looking back at the Slate and how that turned out. I look back at the Dark Knight and go, I feel like I may have been duped. I don't think this was as good as I thought it was at the time.
I agree.
Heath Ledger was. I'll give him that.
I agree that there's plenty that, in retrospect,
you see what they're setting up in Rises that I'm just like, I mean, all versions valid, but Christ.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I definitely agree that it felt better at the time, but to that point, it felt amazing at the time.
Yeah. Effie, I don't know about the narrative cohesion. This is a thing that we're going to have to I feel like it's too early to be concerned about it, honestly. So far, I just...
See, from a production standpoint, I don't think so, because I think you have to plan for the timing like I'm talking about. But
yeah, I mean, I'm saying for me, as an audience member.
As a wary viewer.
As a audience member who has been shit on and jerked the fuck around since 2016.
Yeah.
There's just nothing. I have no more worry left in me, really. For real. I have mild concerns, but narrative cohesion is not one of them right now because, so far with Creature Commandos and what I've seen of Superman, I mean, yeah, it seems pretty on point. I'm digging what they're putting down. I liked Peacemaker season 1. It feels like they're kind of just continuing from there. I understand the Suicide Squad isn't strict canon and it's just like a bad memory or something. Whatever the fuck he said. I'm not worried about it at the moment. And,
well, the one product we have that's supposed to be soft canon it's hard soft canon, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Commandos was very retrospective in what it was. I mean, that's what I've talked about several times, is how much of that is just making sure we knew all the story. So, if we're just talking about what we have, they're very considerate about it.
But, by the end of Creature Commandos, we have a slew of new characters that we haven't met yet, at least in the series. And we could do the same format where we're giving backstories on, Collis, and we're getting, all these different, commandos, these the Frankensteins and shit, So, but here's the thing. I think by the time we're looking at it and we have an opinion on the DCU narrative cohesion and whether or not this is working, it will have changed. It will have been to a point where okay, well, now it's time for them to start really steering into a for real narrative cohesion, because Gunn has even said in previous interviews, it will not always be this way. It's not always going to be nobody has to watch everything to enjoy a thing. Eventually, slowly, it will become more and more and more congealed, and it will become more necessary for people to catch up on all those things.
Yeah.
But importantly, I think they're going to try to do it, to scale it and keep it digestible in much the same way Marvel has pulled back, because they realized, fuck, nobody can watch all these Disney Plus shows and keep up with the movies. We just can't. You know how long it's been since I've seen a Marvel thing? Well, Deadpool and Wolverine. But
yeah,
I just decided to not catch up.
It's not crazy undoable. I mean, I'm well ahead of it. The only thing I've not seen is the movie, and I regret that. I hope I get to make it tomorrow. But that's all I'm behind, is about 2.5 hours.
What movie? Something that's out?
Captain America.
Oh, God. Is there a Captain America out?
Yeah.
Okay.
See? There you go.
Look, when I took on this podcast, Marvel really started slipping behind.
Yeah.
I've been struggling to keep up with Marvel for 10 years.
I mean, Born Again hits in 3 days. We're less than 100 hours from more Daredevil as well.
Just fuck that all the way off. That's not happening. I never even finished the Netflix show, so.
Actually, that is a good point. I am short a few seasons of the Netflix stuff, but
and I've been seeing headlines where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing the rest of the Defenders is an inevitability." I'm like, "Fuck y'all."
No, it's not. I think I'm short.
It is. I think
Jessica Jones.
It is an inevitability. They will absolutely have Iron Fist up in there, and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. Absolutely. Don't even act like that's absolutely going to happen.
Well, maybe.
I
don't think anything's an inevitability or not at this stage with them, just because they're making a lot of weird decisions. No, not weird decisions, but they're making a lot of decisions about what to do with things. I don't think things coming together, all turning into one is an inevitability anymore.
Well,
and,
maybe not.
They pretty famously did not have a lot of chemistry when they did get together in their 1 or 2 seasons. Well, people said that. I enjoyed the show.
I didn't enjoy the show, but I didn't like Defenders. I thought it was a terrible show.
I thought I just left a lot on the table for having all of them there.
The chemistry I didn't have a problem with. It was just a boring fucking show. I just didn't like it. It was a little too Iron Fist and not enough Daredevil. It was just boring.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see that.
I was just going like, what are they doing? What
that was
is
the major issue was I didn't know what we had done at the end of it. I guess don't.
All right, well.
Stick taught him some shit, maybe. I'm not sure.
A building fell and Sigourney Weaver was there. I don't remember why she was there. Yeah, she was there.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it felt like she was playing the same character that she played in Cabin in the Woods. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck happened.
She just plays giant sci-fi reveal now as a character.
Yeah. She's like, oh man, who could be behind this? Sigourney!
Yeah. She did the same thing in Paul.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine. More power to her. God bless the woman.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. James Gunn has said that the DCU will only employ post-credit scenes when they know they can pay them off.
That's fun.
Yeah.
All right. We're well past being annoyed if there is or isn't one, right? We got done with that when Captain America laughed at us.
Mm-hmm.
So I was. And just, I don't even look beforehand. I just try to minimize my news intake before, just to avoid spoilers. So I'm going to go into it, and then while the credits are rolling, I'm going to go to that webpage that tells me where I can politely look. And like, it'll be okay. I don't have to know before even. And if there's not one, I'll just hop out the theater right then instead of sitting around and waiting. It's fine.
Now, Gunn and Peter Safran fielded a question about post-credit scenes and how they could or would factor into the overarching plot that connects movies to each other. And they hope to make or bake the plot points into the movies themselves rather than teasing connections before and after each story. Gunn thinks this will give writers more freedom in the long run and avoids committing to a course too early. He says, we know where we're headed, with the larger story. So this is Safran, actually. James makes sure that those building blocks are going to be put in place. Then around that, there's a tremendous amount of latitude in terms of what we can do. Gunn agreed, adding that it's easier to give each screenwriter the freedom if there are no cliffhangers left over from the last release. But in terms of those post-credit scenes, like, they could be a real nightmare. I've done things before where I've put in post-credit scenes and, like writing Guardians 3, I was like, I wasn't really sure if Adam Warlock should be in it, but I fucking promised people. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, well, like I'm writing the script and things change. And I'm like, he's kind of, crammed in there. And I like him in the movie. I like the character, but it made it a little less elegant in some ways, the film. So I'm really careful about those sorts of promises that we don't know that we can deliver on. I get it. I like it.
I do get it. It does seem like you do so many things in building universe that there's a lot of things where you could get yourself in that kind of trouble.
Mm-hmm. So why do another one?
I mean, yeah, why add to the pile? But also, that's a particular 15 seconds to be mad at sometimes.
Well, I mean, you know what? You just said, I wonder who hurt him. He just told you who hurt him there.
Himself.
He was like, I promised people this shit. I didn't want to Adam Warlock in there. It's like, give me 3 years and all of a sudden I'm back here trying to write the third one. I'm like, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I thought I did, but now.
It seemed cool at the time. But, I mean, you can't run a whole world-bending career that way. You got to call some shots, so.
Yeah. All right.
But
Peter,
you're right. He's being very specific about a stinger there, so that might be telling.
Is. Oh, yeah. Peter Safran said DC Studios will not have a significant presence this year at Comic-Con. Superman will already be open. No point to be there.
That's true.
Daniel Craig was never attached to Sergeant Rock. That's one of my favorite things.
That it just was never a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said that Daniel Craig was never attached to Sergeant Rock. The actor would have been floated for the role due to his creative relationship with the film's prospective director. He's not even absolutely directing. Who directed Craig in 2024's Queer. He says, we never met with Daniel. He was just an idea. And then Gunn said, well, we never really even announced Sergeant Rock. Now, Brandon Davis reported that they said they're moving forward with it in some way, and it sounds really gritty, and they're talking about it like it's an experimental type of movie. He says they're pridefully talking about doing lots of experimental stuff, things that don't fit into the standard comic book movie mold, and this one would be a gritty, small war movie. But Brandon Davis said they're very excited about it.
Yeah, I don't know that I would make a bet one way or the other on its existence.
I believe Brandon Davis. He's never given me any reason to doubt anything he said.
Well, I just mean whether it'll actually come to existence.
Yeah.
Come to fruition.
I mean, it might not.
I believe the status as he's described it for sure.
But according to the rumor, I mean, this is why we don't believe in rumor mills. Okay. Mm-hmm. And of course, and sadly, this involves the Hollywood Reporter, who just a couple days before this conference that they held, they reported the studio
lost its integrity in a bonfire.
Yeah. They reported, the studio's hoping to shoot, Sergeant Rock this summer, and they're actively looking for Craig's replacement. And the Bear star, Jeremy Allen White, could be in the running to headline the film. It's like, where the fuck are they getting this shit?
They just invented a story and then pick someone that looks vaguely like them.
Yeah. As for Craig, it's unknown why he left Sergeant Rock. The Hollywood Reporter heard from some sources that scheduling issues were the culprit, as allegedly Craig's schedule ran into some roadblocks with that of his wife, actress Rachel Weisz.
Right. They could not be reached for comment. Reads, we left a voicemail.
Another possibility is the actor dropped out because of the drama Queer. Craig's previous collaboration with the director underperformed commercially on his support. None of this shit happened. It just makes me so angry. Like, they're just like stirring shit.
Like the whole article is basically, Siri, invent a list of 10 reasons Daniel Craig couldn't do something in 2027.
Oh my God. Anyway, they did confirm that Anna Nagura, who wrote Supergirl, is writing Teen Titans. And Safran said that script's not ready yet. I think we did say that Anna Nagura is writing it.
It is occurring to me that at some point I'm going to have to like get my own little board going. It's the problem memorizing it is that they are doing so many things across media that at some point you're like, the puppet movie. I'm like, the what movie? The what the fuck?
So this is one of my favorite exchanges here that was written about, because Safran said the script's not ready yet. I mean, I think we said Anna Nagura is writing it, and Gunn says we haven't said that. And Safran said, no, I think it was out there. And Gunn says, it's out there. It was something that Anna was really impassioned about, and she turned over an amazing script for us. She's fiddling with that now, but it's definitely not a finished script. I love that, like, Gunn was like, yeah, it's out there. We hadn't confirmed it. Dick.
Damn it, Pete.
That's my interpretation, just reading it. Like, Jesus, Pete.
Well, the other reading is like him, instead of that, it's out there.
Mm-hmm. What's the deal with Bane Deathstroke movie? All right. So, reporter asked about the prospective Deathstroke Bane script written by Matthew Orton of Operation Finale and Moon Knight. Safran says, you say that like we've said that there's a Deathstroke Bane script. He apparently said that with a smile.
Having learned his lesson from the previous exchange.
I don't know if that really was. I don't know if that was like after that. He confirmed that.
In your narrative, it tells it goes
a
certain way.
He did confirm that Orton is working on a script for DC Studios, and Gunn said it's something kind of like a Deathstroke Bane story. So I've titled this part "The Exasperation of Headlines."
Gotcha.
So you're talking about like some of these exchanges made plain one of the challenges of running a superhero studio, even the possibility of a new movie or TV show featuring one of these characters as a development projects that may never come to pass for a host of reasons is enough to unleash a torrent of headlines. And Gunn and Safran have clearly decided that it's worth the trouble to maintain an ongoing open dialogue with the media and with fans about what they're doing, but it was also evident that their decision will come with its share of headaches. Fielding the question about Pattinson playing Batman in The Brave and the Bold, for example, Gunn sighed in exasperation. These questions become headlines because they say, have you ever talked about this? We've talked about literally every permutation on the way to come to this job in terms of how we're going to handle it, what actors we're going to continue over, what we were going to merge. We've talked about everything. Have we ever talked about Grant Gustin? Yeah. Have we ever talked about Robert Pattinson? Yeah. We've talked about all those things. But serious conversations? No. I kind of feel him. Like, I'm exasperated for him. I don't even have to deal with this shit. As like the person who puts together news for a DC show, I feel exasperated over it. Paradise Lost remains in active development, by the way. Wonder Woman prequel series, Paradise Lost. Gunn says Paradise Lost is totally still important, and we're working heavily on it. It just seems to be going pretty well. Safran said the pilot's being written right now. Booster Gold remains in development. They're moving forward on developing the superhero comedy series Booster Gold. They had waited on a particular showrunner / creator who had expressed interest in the show, but that person moved on. I'm glad that they're doing shit like that, where they're like, that's one of the things that gives me, going back to what Effie was talking about, like that gives me hope that they're willing to keep the quality and just push shit back if it's not working.
I agree.
They're not going to force anything because it fits our mandate.
No, I mean, but there are two audiences to deal with, those paying attention and those not. Mm-hmm. So for us paying attention, we see the delay, we forgive it, we're all good. But for anyone not, you eventually got to give them something. Well,
for those not paying attention, they'll forget. Most of them.
They will. The
only ones who won't will be, the usual suspects.
They forget, they move on, they don't realize it's even there until it streams on something.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to happen even if you are interested,
Yeah. But yeah, you got to strike while the iron's hot still. That metaphor is going to be around for a minute.
Mm-hmm. I believe it should be, just for remembrance purposes, it should be the anvil. We should strike while the anvil is hot.
Or hard.
Well, sure. I guess the iron has to be on the anvil.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it's actually an anvil. In my head, the image is always just some like really sharpened or barely sharpened coarse lead stick maybe that's got a pointy end.
Yeah. I made some comment the other day about where the hell did all the anvils go or something, like why in Looney Tunes, like there's anvils everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you don't ever hear about anvils anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's on the list of things you thought would be a big part of your life, like quicksand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just like, you walk out, you go to Walmart, you should have seen 12 anvils.
Yeah.
3 of which were falling out of the sky.
Someone who owns and knows how to use one.
And then I said something to my friend Amy about this, and she was like, "Oh, that's like Gilmore Girls." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, there's a whole scene." She sends me the scene, and it really is Lorelai just like at dinner with her parents, going like, "What happened to all the anvils?" Like the what? The anvils? Like TV was like Looney, like Looney Tunes, like Wile E. Coyote and the anvils. Her mother's just like not having it. She's like, "Why are we talking about this? I beg you, please change the subject. This is the worst thing I've ever heard." Anyway. And like her dad is actually being like, "Oh, I think industry changed." And I think,
just the nature of keeping the equine, blah blah blah.
I mean, blacksmiths were so much more prevalent back then.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, Booster
we can
Gold
amble over the internet now,
Booster Gold. Gunn says the project is going pretty strong, and that does not. And I had several people saying that, and then we also had like 3 different outlets saying it's dead in the water, and it's been put aside, it's been shelved. And I'm like, you fuckers.
Well, if the pull quote is we had it with a showrunner and they moved on, then I guess that's what you'd pull out of that.
I guess, but then he also said it's going pretty strong.
Out the door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, what did get put on the back burner? Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing has been stuck in limbo because James Mangold ran off and made a complete unknown. And Waller, Gunn says it's had a bumpy road. And he said Waller has had a couple of, setbacks, frankly. It's not where he wants it. But he also said the Authority is stuck in limbo. And he says it's a very, very big movie if you're going to do the Authority properly. And some story elements, perhaps that are in Superman and some of the other films that we've fast-tracked, step a little bit on the Authority. He also said the script also had a harder time coming along, so the film hasn't been as much of a priority because it has been subsumed by everything from The Brave and the Bold to Paradise Lost. Honestly, the Authority has been the one that's been the hardest, both because of the shifting overall story and because of getting it right in a world with the boys, and a world with all the things that the Authority influenced that came out after it. And I think all of that is absolutely fair. He is not saying he's afraid of the boys. He's saying this is not right. We have to make sure that we are doing it right in a world that has already been largely in an overwhelming way ensconced by the boys and what the boys is, and has seen that.
We all know about the boys. But yeah, you've got to find something to make it unique. And if he's not hitting that, then he's just feeling like it's not there yet.
Yeah. And, you can laugh emoji all you want, but that is what you want.
It's kind of honest. It's what it is.
It's honest, and it's exactly what you want. You want someone to go, well, shit, everybody knows this now. So we've got to make sure that it's pretty special.
Yeah.
You don't want to put out a movie just to have a movie and then have everyone be like, whatever, you're just making the fucking boys.
This. Yeah.
All right, so Gunn posted a picture with Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder came to the little think tank room or whatever. And they took a picture and posted it on Instagram and Blue Sky and Twitter, whatever.
Nice.
And, of course, they asked about it. Then Gunn said, we knew that people have this view that somehow we have been pitted against each other. It's odd to have someone who you're friendly with in real life be the guy that is positioned as your Lex Luthor, or I'm his Lex Luthor. It's just such a weird dynamic that's been created between factions online. What we were doing, he says, I was just talking to Zach as a friend. So, we were just hanging out, and then we're like, let's take a picture together. We knew full well what we were doing. We thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. He thought it was funny. And that's that. There's no movie with Zack Snyder planned. He wasn't posting it to make people go, oh, I've got to go watch Superman. Nope. They're just a couple of trolls thinking that they were going to make the internet blow up for a day. And they did. He didn't even have time to show him an early cut of Superman. They briefly saw each other. They were just hanging out for a few minutes.
That makes sense. And one of them thought, well, this will fuck with him.
Oh, yeah. And they were all very happy about it. They were both very happy with it.
Yeah.
So, according to Variety, there were times when it sounded like the creative mandates Gunn and Safran had set for the larger DC universe were somewhat at cross purposes. On the one hand, Gunn said that they, quote, remain steadfast in making sure that each of these projects works as a standalone project so that you can see Superman and you can watch Lanterns without having to see both of them. On the other hand, Safran said that the entire reason they're relaunching DC Studios as an endeavor unifying all DC projects across film, TV, animation, and video games is that, quote, people want to see these iconic characters interacting. To that end, Gunn said that he has mapped out a roughly 6-year plan to tell a wider story that would result in a culminating project akin to Marvel's Avengers movies, though he still insists that each individual project works as its own thing. It isn't like chapters of an overall story. There are characters that are part of an overall story. That may seem like a distinction without a difference, but Gunn is clear that he knows where the overall story is heading. I'm intimately involved with all of that. To me, that makes perfect sense. It's not an overall story. It's a bunch of characters. We're telling their stories. We're getting to know them. It's everything that people complained that we didn't get with DCEU. They were just like, oh, you're just putting together a fucking Justice League so fast. I don't even care about any of these people. Fine. I
mean, yeah, he made them thrown together in 5 hours worth of movie.
I still believe that by the time you get to Zach's Justice League, you have pretty much as you did with the Avengers in their first movie.
I mean, kind of. I just mean it wasn't laid out as here are all the core members and their origin stories. Here's the. Mm-hmm. It just was not a clear line like everyone had just gotten used to. I guess 8 years ago or something. And then this one's not going to be back to that clear line at all.
Right. I also think there was just no way to win in the Zack era.
Absolutely not.
Because if they did what Marvel, everybody wanted it,
but it would have been transcendent to have done so.
Well, everybody was like, "Oh, it's got to be like Marvel," and then if he had did it like Marvel, they would have said "Oh, you're just fucking ripped off Marvel." I mean, there was no way to win. But
I wonder if they'd come out just straight up and said, "Yeah, that pace works really well. We're going to do pretty much that, give or take, and with our people, we all good." And
yeah. I don't know. I think I would have done some version of both, but
yeah,
I have my own thoughts, but I wouldn't have gone Zach's route. Maybe 3% Zach of what, it's just not what I would have done. It's just not what I would have done.
We did also talk about one of the dooming factors was, Marvel kind of started with some B characters basically and formed an Avengers situation, but DC started with the most popular thing in the history of comics and tried to work backwards from it. And they're just very different things. Too many opinions up front, too fast.
Yeah. It was like, hey, here's the most popular thing in comics.
Everyone has an opinion about the big three. The
next episode is going to be, here's the most popular thing in comics versus the actual most popular thing in comics.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you didn't people learned who the hell Thor and Iron Man were through those movies. Yeah. You didn't grow up with opinions about Thor not.
Right.
Not everybody. Of course everyone did, but not a ton of them, it turned out, did not.
I mean, I've talked about this before. Like, I used to do that radio show, Entertainment Roundtable.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was doing it at the time that BVS was gearing up to come out. And I one of the listeners said, shocked, that was Wonder Woman? That was supposed to be Wonder Woman? That's not my Wonder Woman. It was just fucking like people, and about half the people that we talked to about this thing were saying, like, why would Batman and Superman fight? They're supposed to be on the same side. Yeah,
that was the major complaint the entire time from everyone I knew. I don't know why they're fighting.
Yep.
Who's going to win? I don't know, man. Historically, it's always Batman.
Well, that's stupid.
Superman could never actually win. I know, dude. That's called tension. That's hopefully the thing that they were building in you that would make you go see it. Do you intend to? No. All right.
That's stupid.
Good talking to you.
They should be friends. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Or in my case, it was, at the time, it was a little bit of, all right, happy Thanksgiving. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Anyway, whether or not, answering whether or not DC character designs or DCU character designs will come to Fortnite and other games, Gunn says the answer is definitely yes. Safran said that's just a small part when talking about our interactions with our gaming department. Those are things that historically there wasn't a lot of collaboration on. Now we're talking to Fortnite, asking which character we should focus on. James is literally signing off on designs.
Nice. Would never have occurred to me to focus on that, but okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Gunn specifically responded to one question about how long it will be for the first DCU game to arrive, to which he said it's still years off.
Fair enough.
Safran then chimed in and said that he and Gunn have had active involvement on other gaming-related things that are coming a bit sooner. Specifics on what exactly this could be weren't shared, but it could relate to crossover content in other games as well as Fortnite. Gunn said it's a couple of years. And then Safran said, yeah, it's a couple of years, but we've had some pretty active involvement in some stuff coming up that's really interesting. So there's that.
To be fair, though, it takes just forever to make a game, man.
And by the way, you remember that in 2021, we talked about this Wonder Woman game from Monolith that was coming out, that was being worked on? That shit's been canceled, dude. And it's partly because of the failure of Suicide Squad and Multiverses.
Oh, God. I didn't think about Multiverses for a while. I tried it. It was a freaking resource hog when I did try it, and I just don't have any love for the pay-to-play bullshit where I have to go do some shit like that. So, yeah, it was a failure to me to begin with, but it was a cool idea.
Yeah. Well, WB Games announced that it had scrapped its solo Wonder Woman game and closed down its studio Monolith Productions for good, alongside Multiverse's developer Player First and WB Games San Diego, in a move the publisher called a, quote, strategic change in direction. Now, comic writer Gail Simone revealed that she worked on the Wonder Woman game.
That's probably a good thing.
So, she's the longest running female writer on Wonder Woman. She said, I was asked to do long-term consulting on the game, and I was thrilled to do it. It was a perfect storm of stuff I adore. Wonder Woman, video games, and one of my favorite game studios, Monolith, who produced the Game of the Year, Mordor games, that I was completely addicted to. The game was gorgeous and expansive. It was beautiful to look at. I'm not going to give details for a number of reasons, but every effort was made to make this not just a great game, but a great Wonder Woman game, a showpiece epic. And all of that was because of the team. Everyone who worked on it brought their A game, programmers, artists, designers, everyone. I don't know that I have ever worked with a team that cared more about making sure the end product was perfect. It was a dream come true. Wonder Woman had a dream team, and they put their all into it. They made sure it had Wonder Woman and DC lore on every aspect of the game. It was a thrill and honor to work with them. I know there's a lot of finger pointing going on, but everyone I worked with, from Monolith and WB, both was enthusiastic and supportive. Everyone wanted to make the best game ever. So that's kind of sad.
It is. I mean, what does that leave us with, though? It has to be like
Zaslav just killing things.
I mean, yeah, but in this case, too little, too late. Even if it was that good.
Well, I mean,
based on the returns of the earlier things.
I mean, there's like WB isn't really doing a lot in the game space, and then Multiverses was a multi-year project, and then they went away for a while, and everybody kind of forgot about it. And it sounds like they had other problems. Suicide Squad was a massive,
deep failure.
A deep failure that was also that took forever. They announced that at the first fandom.
Yeah.
And then it took forever to come out. And once it came out, it was utter shit.
Yeah.
So, the graphics look worse than...
Did Gotham Knight, was that them as well?
Yeah, that didn't do well either.
Was that the same maker? Or was that Montreal as well?
Maybe. I can't remember.
Kind of curious.
Gotham Knight didn't do well.
It did not. I did not finish that one.
And I don't know.
I tried, but it just kind of is painful to play.
Yeah. And when you go online, there's still people like posting, comparison shots from not even the remastered Arkham City, like the original Arkham City. And just being like, look at how much better the fucking graphics are here than they are on Suicide Squad. Like it's...
Yeah. WB Games Montreal.
Yeah. I mean, so whatever.
I mean, it could just be that that's what it is. They did bank a ton on those two games. I mean, there was the gameplay trailers alone must have cost 6 figures each, but it just didn't get anywhere, man. I forgot they even made it out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reviews were so bad that it was a rough time.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I feel bad about it.
So with Superman coming, 6 months into the second Trump administration, Gunn was asked about what his version of Superman is right, or if his version of Superman is right for the current cultural moment. Gunn says, in some ways, I would say it's the right Superman because I don't think he's a part of the cultural moment. He's a character that stands for something that is solid, for basic human morals, basic human integrity, the basic belief in protecting others, the weak, and being good to people and being honest. He stands for what I think of as the rules that don't change. And another reporter brought up how skittish studios have become around answering questions about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the wake of Trump's relentless campaign to rid not just the federal government, but of American public life of DEI initiatives specifically, and women and people of color in positions of power generally. It was a natural question to ask, but a precarious one given how many public comments defending diversity could be commandeered by Trump supporters to derail the Superman marketing campaign even before it started. Gunn's response proposed a different strategy: plead ignorance. He says, I know what you're saying. I understand your words, but I've been off working on stories for 3 years. And I just try to tell the best stories I possibly can, and that's all I care about. He says he doesn't read the news anymore or spend nearly as much time on social media as he used to, in part for his own mental health. Been there, do that. But mostly because running a studio while also working directly on Superman and Peacemaker means he does not have time. He says, we're just off trying to make the best movies we can in the best way we can. No matter who is telling me who I'm supposed to put in my movie for whatever reason, I don't give a shit. I was always about creating the best story possible with the best characters possible. It was that way, 5 years ago, and it's that way today. So I haven't seen anyone talk about that.
Well, I mean, I do like the way you phrase that. I know what you mean with those words. I'm not really going to answer you that way, though.
I'm going to put whoever I want in there. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to do whatever I want. All right, we do have some feedback. That was the last of the news, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Right? So we have some feedback. Jake at Buster Beyond says, what is your view on the lack of Wonder Woman? My view is that we don't even know all of Chapter 1 yet, so I think some are overreacting and need to be patient. But given she's a member of the Trinity, do you think we should have had something more with regards to her at this stage? Jake, thank you, man. Look.
Well put on the need to be patient part.
Well, they do need to be patient. The thing is, the reason they need to be patient is because the last 3 outings we've gotten from Wonder Woman have flopped. Wonder Woman 84 was not well received. I don't think it flopped properly, but it wasn't well received critically. And then she showed up in Shazam! Fury of the Gods briefly, and everyone said, who the fuck cares? And let that film die on the vine.
Yeah.
And she showed up in Flash, and everyone absolutely said, who fucking cares about that? And let that film die on the vine. I think it's time.
Yeah.
I think it's just like Gunn said, we're leaving Flash alone for a minute. We got to leave Wonder Woman alone for a minute.
Yeah. I get the point, though. It's one of the big 3, and at some point you got to have a plan for that.
Yeah. the plan right now is to lay low. Like, we just saw Batman and Wonder Woman in The Flash, and they were not at their best.
I agree. I hate putting a pause on it though with no timer. I would say within the next, at the end of about the 2-year mark is when I would kind of hope to start seeing something.
Yeah, and then we did just see Batman of sorts and Creature Commandos.
So I call it 2027. 2027 is when I would hope that I would see news about that in a real way.
And I don't know. I feel like they're still doing Paradise Lost. I feel like, Themyscira is in sight. It's just like, here's the other thing though. Because I don't know. Look, I have like 18 Wonder Woman action figures in my collection. All right. I don't hate the character. I just bought Wonder Woman Black and Gold, a hardcover anthology, book. I like the character. But based on what we've seen in the last few years, I'm a little concerned that for the general audience, the Wonder Woman from the 2017 Wonder Woman was it. Yeah. I think we may have the only Wonder Woman story worth telling for a general audience. If I am 80, 90 years old and I'm on my deathbed and we have not gotten another Wonder Woman thing, I am not going to be like, oh shit, we never got another Wonder Woman thing. I'll be fine. I have the Linda Carter series on DVD. I have the 2017 movie. I'm good.
Yeah.
She was fantastic in Justice League, the animated series. I don't know. There's going to have to be a very special story is all I'm saying. But I will say this, and look, the funny thing is people are like, oh, we haven't seen any Wonder Woman. You just got Circe in Creature Commandos. It's like Wonder Woman's like arch fucking nemesis. You just got her. You got a little piece. I mean, that's something. Wonder Woman wasn't even there, and that's the most interesting her character's been in a long time for now.
True. I don't know. Once Wonder Woman gets into the realm of magic in particular, there's a huge uptick in my interest. So, like, the whole history of Themyscira and the gods part, I hit a wall with eventually. I do like the gods part, but not as much as the magic part. That part, there's a few stories in there that I think I would regret not seeing.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see what they do and how it plays in with, old Greek gods, and I want to see all that shit, but I'm not going to be upset if they don't get there for a minute.
Yeah.
Or ever. Because I think they're definitely going there. I mean, we literally saw her crucified alongside Superman and Batman in those flash forwards and Creature Commandos. We saw Wonder Woman on a pike.
It's on somebody's mind. Yeah.
Circe is there in Creature Commandos. Like, I don't understand the lack of Wonder Woman. Like, they just didn't. They even specifically brought up and said very active development on Paradise Lost, which is a prequel series. So I think we're getting plenty of Wonder Woman coming up.
Matters time. There's too much there not to go in for it at some point too.
Yeah, I think so. Joshua Leon 3223 once again commented, "Thank you for the shout out and reading my question. You guys rock. Keep up the good work." Thank you again.
Thank you.
Lorenzo Valdez over on Patreon says, as someone who is both a Superman fan, now he is responding to our very call reaction to the Shaq commercial. We were both saying, who the fuck cares? Who is this for? We said, who the fuck is this for? We were very callous about it.
We were.
I feel like
I should beforehand accept the judgment of whatever's coming.
I know what's coming, and I still stand on my hill.
Okay.
Lorenzo Valdez over on Patreon, we love you, buddy, says, as someone who is both a Superman fan and a basketball fan and a defender of the Steel film, something I unfortunately cannot say about the Constantine film. Ooh. Oh, why do you want to discredit yourself, bud? It's like, Jesus. Anyway, I can tell you that I felt like that promotion with James Gunn, David Cornsweet, and Shaq was for me.
I agree, but that is a weird Venn diagram, dude.
It is. I have to say.
I am thoroughly pleased that hit so hard for exactly that person. That is amazing. Like,
yeah.
Like, to love those things and see that must be just phenomenal.
I know. I don't care anything about basketball.
I used to enjoy playing it a little bit, but
I did too.
I can't watch it.
I play a little horse.
Yeah, I could still probably get a couple hook shots in or something.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not the watching. I can watch it on mute. Okay. The squeaky noises kill me. I can't do that. I have to have it muted.
Yeah. Look, let's be fair. I've seen Space Jam more than twice.
Yeah.
That's about where it ends.
Yeah. Snuck in an earbud one time on a school field trip, but that's about it.
I snuck in an earbud.
That's where it ends.
Oh, God. Never went back for the sequels, though, huh?
Yeah. Oh, man, you don't have enough time. Not for the Airbud sequels. Those are fucking quarter ounce of buds at this point.
Look, I've seen Space Jam a few times. I have toyed with watching that Woody Harrelson basketball movie.
Like, what?
I don't
Can't Jump?
Is that what it's called? I don't remember.
Like from the early 90s?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, it's that one.
Must
with
be.
Wesley.
Yeah. I've toyed.
I remember thinking it was funny in the early 90s.
Well,
I would like to see that one again, probably.
It's one of those where, like, I never cared about sports, but, like, yeah, the title was such a cultural thing. It was such a touchstone. Everyone was making white men can't jump jokes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it took over for a minute.
I feel like I need to go back and watch it just to understand a little bit of where I came from.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't actively involved at the time. All right. So, Lorenzo continues, your penis tangent.
Sorry. I'm so tired of being accused of penis tangents.
Are you?
Not even a little. We've barely exhausted
it. Speak for yourself. I exhaust mine all the time. I'm always exhausting a penis tangent.
Go ahead and nominate that one for my grave if you get the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. By the way, penis tangent sounds like a great name for skin tags on your dick.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Anyway, your penis tangent at the end of episode 746 reminded me of
an exhibit.
I know.
In a courtroom that way.
Right. The penis tangent at the end of episode 746 reminds me of an old Family Guy episode that I have no more than a vague recollection of, in which part of the plot revolves around a police squadron enforcing the number of shakes allowed at the urinal, with the notion that too many shakes could be construed as masturbation.
Yeah. My dad once slayed with that joke. And the shake it more than twice, you're playing with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
That one really kills when you hear it for the first time.
Do you remember what our penis tangent was?
Not a clue. We do so many.
I have no idea.
We do so many. Now I am sad and wish I could respond more thoroughly, and we should homework that one and come back.
Maybe. Anyway, thank you, Lorenzo.
Yes, thank you.
Eli Hernandez over on Patreon says, "Hey neighborinos, since Marvel has Howard the Duck, do you think James Gunn would be willing to give us the film debut of Detective Chimp?
That'd be great.
He can put him in an episode of Peacemaker. I can really see Daniel Craig voicing him. What is it with all this Daniel Craig shit? What do you guys think? Whatever.
I would absolutely love a Detective Chimp, and I think James Gunn would as well.
I think he would. I think, Kelsey Grammer is coming back as Beast over in the Marvel films.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get David Hyde Pierce to be Detective Chimp?
I would say that doesn't sound right, but I'm imagining David Hyde Pierce is probably mid-30s.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't heard him in quite some time. That might be a good fit now.
Yeah, it might not work. I don't know. You might want like a more of a Boston-y kind of thing. I don't know.
I don't know what he would sound like. Are we assuming British for some reason?
I mean, I just want him to be.
Not
even really British, but just old? I'm just thinking like, I don't know. I've seen him written different ways though, so.
I think he's just a middle-aged drunk dude in a lot of ways.
Maybe.
I mean, he's definitely an alcoholic in the Justice League Dark series.
Yeah.
Like, it's a primary plot point. Or a secondary one.
Well,
Could happily live with him though. But yeah, I have no idea what actual comparative demographic we got for this little monkey.
yeah. Let's see. He's a common chimpanzee who wears a deerstalker cap. We know that. Detective Chimp has superhuman level intelligence, solves crimes, blah, 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 blah. Uh-huh.
I love how you're like, get to the interesting part.
That's what I'm trying to find, man. It says like he was from Equatorial Africa, but I don't know if like, what was his backstory? Was he just like a dude? Was it a magic thing? Was he like a dude stuck inside of a monkey?
I do not remember the origin story situation there. I'd have to whip out the encyclopedia.
When first introduced, Detective Chimp was an ordinary, though intelligent, trained chimpanzee who acted as a helping mascot for the local sheriff after helping him solve the murder of his chimpanzee trainer, Fred Thorpe. He could not speak, but could understand humans and make himself understood. Bobo, a smoker, is a member of Mensa and had a long-standing partnership with 4 other detectives as the Croatoan Society. One of the other former members of the society was the detective superhero Ralph Dibny. The chimp's origin has been revamped and elaborated on several times since his Silver Age appearances. In 1989, Secret Origins Volume 2, Number 40, credited the experimentation of a microscopic alien race with Bobo's intelligence. This origin has been retconned, notably in the Day of Vengeance 6-part limited series, which is primarily where I know Detective Chimp from. In the latter, it was shown that Bobo was captured in Gorilla City in 1953 by Fred Thorpe, who sought to train him for his carnival act, Bobo the Detective Chimp. For the act, Detective Chimp was trained to answer some detective-related questions using a combination of signals and rewards, giving the illusion that he could, quote, discover the deepest secrets of the public. Bobo formed a strong bond with Thorpe because Thorpe took care of him and gave him a simpler life than in the jungle. The success of the act lasted until a trip to Florida, at which time Rex the Wonder Dog took him to the Fountain of Youth. Sometimes you read this shit, especially on Wikipedia, where you just like realize how fucking stupid it is.
Yeah.
Rex the Wonder Dog took him to the Fountain of Youth, where he gained the ability to speak to all living creatures, even humans, in their own language, as well as eternal youth. Okay. Rex and Bobo's journey to the Fountain of Youth was originally depicted in the
You're like physically sneering at it now. That's what you just heard was the sound of Dave's suspension of disbelief hitting the ground.
I think the answer is it does not fucking matter.
No, we did finally get the answer at the end. It's magic. He's magic, and he sounds like he's basically just middle-aged dude, right?
Is aliens or no magic?
Young to middle-aged dude, eternally.
Yeah, he's got eternal youth and he's immortal. So
wait, did that say Florida somewhere in there?
It did.
Okay, so he's American.
Maybe.
Presumably, I would go to.
But if it's the Fountain of Youth, it might be more of a Ponce de Leon kind of situation.
It could, but they looked for that in South America. I thought
it was Florida.
Maybe.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm stupid as shit, dude. What are you talking about? Don't believe me. All right.
That's why everyone retires there now.
But I think, it's funny. Eli went with, a kind of a British sounding thing too. Daniel Craig.
Yeah. I kind of get it just because it's a smartish character, and that does make you want to go British.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Eli also said that theory that Ultraman might be Apollo is actually not a bad idea. Isn't he supposed to be as strong and powerful as Superman? Yeah.
Real.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I don't know if it's going to happen if the Authority is that far behind, though.
Well, if he said it got subsumed, so.
I mean, yeah, if it got subsumed.
Marber.
By certain things they're doing in Superman as well. So, I don't know. Brooklyn Batman asks us, do you think it would be a mistake for Gunn to write and direct a world's finest movie as a follow-up to Superman? Do you think it's too soon and will get trolled for supposedly copying Snyder? I don't think it's too soon. I think everybody wants Batman. Mm-hmm. For me, I think most people want Batman.
Everyone's going to say sooner the better, and on that.
Yeah, I think the usual suspects will troll them.
As them cookies are out of the oven.
Yeah, like the Snyder people will definitely shit on it and say that he's trying to copy. Those people don't matter. I think people will be like, yes, but the difference is it's not a Batman versus Superman. This is a proper world's finest. And as a Gunn supporter and a Snyder fan, I am also aggravated by some of the narrative that's being spun, where people are like, see, this is what we were needing all along. Gunn is doing this, and Snyder doesn't understand. I'm like, oh, fuck. Come on. Like, they're just, like, taking a lot of, like, liberty, man. They're just, like, having a hell of a time being like, see, this is why Snyder sucked. And I'm like, it's not, though.
Yeah.
It's not. It wasn't. You just didn't give it a chance because you're dicks. Whatever. But I like all this shit, so at the end of the day, I'm still the winner.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to watch the narrative go down, but also I'm just like, I like all this shit. I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, man.
Oh my God. Right. Seriously?
Yep, we're done.
Ooh.
And I'm going straight to bed.
Yeah.
Like on the last piss break, I went and took my meds.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time for meds. Gotta go to bed soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, get this over with. No chatting after the show. Let me know what's up tomorrow.
Love you. Out.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you have any comments.
Yeah. I haven't done that in a while.
I know. Comments, questions, love, hate, bring it our way. DCOnscreen@gmail.com. By the way, patreon.com/DCOnscreen. We're over there as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're on Facebook. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. God help us. I don't know why we're still there, but we are. And we're on YouTube. So there are plenty of places for you to leave us a comment and tell us that we suck.
You can think to type it.
Tell us that you want more penis tangents.
Yeah.
And my throat actually hurts. What?
Or less tangents, but then
yeah.
Maybe we had to stop for a medical issue.
I'm not stopping. I'll make as many penis tangents as I want. You're just wasting your time if you're asking for less.
For less of the tangents.
If you're asking for less, I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
Sorry. They'll come when they come, and that wasn't intended, but that's a lot of fun.
Best we could offer maybe is a skip point one day.
Right. But probably not.
No.
Love you guys. Thank you for listening. Until next time, which may be a Kite Man Season 1 review. Keep some TC on your screen.
Bye.
Ooh, that sounded rough.
Yeah, I'm done too.